Chapter 1716. Those who came out from the world of assassins and secret agents had no other choice but to die in battle. No one from the secular world would accept them because their hands were stained with blood. For an ordinary family, if they heard that someone had killed someone, their first reaction would definitely be to warn their family members to stay away from this person and not to get close to this murderer. Who knew when they would be killed by the murderer? This was a very realistic world. Although Yun Jian was ranked number 1 on the international secret agent ranking, and as slaying god, she was so powerful that she was omniscient and omnipotent. However, as a person in this world, she had no other choice and there was no turning back. Assassins and secret agents from the underground organizations could only die in battle and could never return to the ordinary world. That was because the people in the ordinary world would never allow an assassin or secret agent who had killed many to live near them and threaten their safety. If not for her rebirth, Yun Jian knew very well that someone of her status would never be able to come into contact with the ordinary world. There was only one outcome for her: death in battle. If she did not want to die in battle, she had to become stronger. She had to be so strong that no one could kill her. That was why Yun Jian had never stopped pursuing power in her previous life. Even after her rebirth, she had never stopped expanding her influence. She knew very well that there were many capable people in this world. She was powerful, but it did not mean that there was no one more powerful than her. What she wanted to do was to trample on those more powerful than her. That was survival. Yun Jian was fully prepared. She knew that Qin Yiru would find out that she was not her biological daughter one day. She was also prepared that Qin Yiru would not accept her. However, Yun Jian did not expect Qin Yiru to rush over and hug her at the last moment and say such words to her. Who in this world was not afraid of people who could kill? If it were someone else, they might acknowledge Yun Jian, but it was for the money. However, Qin Yiru did not covet a single cent from her. Yun Jian could feel the kinship she gave her. She reached out her right hand and placed it gently on her heart. Yun Jian took a deep breath. She could feel it. There was a slight warmth. This was the taste of kinship. Why are you crying? Don't cry. Qin Yiru hugged Yun Jian. After a while, she could feel a few drops of tears dripping down her shoulder. Those teardrops belonged to Yun Jian. Qin Yiru quickly turned to look at Yun Jian. She reached out and touched the tears on Yun Jian's face. Mom is here. Mom will never leave you. This is fate. It's not your fault. Qin Yiru rubbed away the tears on Yun Jian's face. She was also tearing up. Qin Yiru really wanted to ask where her daughter had gone, but at this moment, she could not bring herself to ask. Moreover, Yun Jian had also said that she would inform him as soon as she had news of her biological daughter. Crying? Was she crying? Yun Jian was stunned for a moment. From the moment her tears fell until now, she had not made a sound. Tears flowed down her cheeks silently. She did not even realize it. Tears? Yun Jian caught the tears that fell from her eyes. She was in a trance for a moment. How many years had it been since she last cried? Ever since she came to terms with the truth, she had never shed a tear even when she was living a life where she could be killed at any time in the Han organization. Even when she was covered in wounds. Things like tears would never appear on her body. However, today she actually shed tears. He. Slaying God, are you done catching up? Ha ha ha. It's time to settle our personal grudges. Chapter 1717. As soon as the elderly man finished speaking, the atmosphere turned gloomy. The crowd was stunned by the shocking scene, unable to snap out of their daze for a moment. The elderly man's untimely remark made the crowd realize that Yun Jian and Qin Yiru were not the only ones present. Lin Mengyu's unpredictable master was also present. Moreover, this elderly man was the culprit who exposed Yun Jian's identity. Lin Mengyu noticed that her master was still standing beside Yun Jian, especially when her master had confidently pointed out Yun Jian's identity in front of her. Lin Mengyu suddenly had a mysterious confidence. She felt that her master's ability was definitely above Yun Jian's. Just because her master had pointed out Yun Jian's identity. Therefore, even if Yun Jian was slaying God, Lin Mengyu was not afraid. Because she had a master. Lin Mengyu looked at Yun Jian, snickered, and said, "That's right, Yun Jian. Are you done catching up? Do you think you're all that just because you're slaying God? Do you think you can defeat my master? Moreover. So what if you're crying? Don't make it sound like you've never cried in your life. Do you really think you're someone high and mighty? Even if you're powerful, there's still my master. My master's ability isn't necessarily worse than yours." Just as Lin Mengyu finished her smug remark, the elderly man suddenly shouted at her, "Lin Mengyu, shut up. Do you want to die? She's slaying God." From what he said, it was obvious that the elderly man was still very afraid of Yun Jian. Yun Jian had already recovered from her earlier emotions. She turned her head sideways and shielded Qin Yiru behind her. Qin Yiru did not put on a brave front this time. She stood behind Yun Jian consciously and did not burden Yun Jian. Yun Jian's slightly red and swollen eyes instantly turned sharp. She glanced sideways and her sharp gaze landed on Lin Mengyu. Her tenderness towards Qin Yiru did not mean that Yun Jian would look at other people with red eyes. Her self-control was still outstanding. Scanning Lin Mengyu with a sharp gaze, Yun Jian's lips quirked up. Perhaps it was Qin Yiru's action just now that the burden in her heart had been lifted. Yun Jian could not be more relaxed right now. "Since you already know my identity, I might as well tell you that those who dared to insult me in the past, I will." Since this group of people knew her identity, then she, Yun Jian, would not be merciful. Just as Yun Jian said this, Lin Mengyu suddenly trembled. She suddenly recalled that Yun Jian had spoken to her in the same tone a year ago. What will happen? Lin Mengyu hid beside the old man but trembled under Yun Jian's sharp gaze. She forced herself to calm down but could not calm her emotions. Just as everyone gulped, Yun Jian, who was standing on the other side, spoke abruptly and said something that sent chills down the spines of the crowd. "Kill without mercy." Perhaps it was because they were certain of Yun Jian's identity and what Yun Jian had said earlier. If it were in the past, everyone present would have treated Yun Jian's words as a joke. However, at this moment, they could not help but tremble when they heard Yun Jian's words. She wanted to kill the other party just because of what she said. Was this the so-called slaying God? He. Slaying God, your opponent is me. The old man suddenly stood out and stared straight at Yun Jian. He spoke arrogantly as if he would not stop until he killed Yun Jian. Just as the old man finished speaking, a tall figure walked in from the main entrance. The tall figure scanned the entire place coldly and was enraged when he saw Yun Jian's red and swollen eyes. Chapter 17-18. Siyi's sudden appearance had everyone rooted to the spot in shock. Especially Qin Yiru. Yun Jian wasn't surprised that Ce had returned to an Han organization in the morning, so why was he back now? Qin Yiru and Yun Jian had personally watched Ce drive away in the morning, so she couldn't help but be a little surprised to see Ce back. Ce had indeed left in the morning, and the private helicopter that Emosen had sent to pick him up was already on its way to an Han organization. Later, there was suddenly news that someone was looking for trouble with Yun Jian, so Ce turned back without a second thought. Looking at Ce entering through the main entrance, and the arrogant words he had said when he entered, everyone looked at him. Obviously, they were shocked by Ce's words. Ce's words had shocked them. Ce's tall and slender figure was getting closer and closer to Yun Jian. The moment he saw Ce, the old man's eyes twitched fiercely. Ce walked quickly to Yun Jian and hugged Yun Jian in front of everyone present. Seeing Yun Jian's red eyes, his expression flashed fiercely, and even his eyebrows twitched. At the main entrance, after Ce entered, two handsome figures immediately followed him in. One of the figures had a deep scar on his neck, and just looking at it was enough to make people tremble in fear. The other handsome figure was much calmer. Naturally, it was Xuanying and Mo Senator. After Xuanying and Mo Sen entered, a large group of people rushed in through the main entrance. These people were all dressed in black, and their entire bodies were covered tightly, only revealing a pair of dark eyes. The group of people who entered followed behind Xuanying and Mo Sen, and each of them carried a machine gun. Just looking at their formation was enough to shock everyone present. There was no doubt that these people were the top assassins of an Han organization, each of them experienced in battle. Even Lin Mengyu's master, the old man, shuddered at the sight. Not to mention the reactions of the people around them. Ce had already pulled Yun Jian into his arms. He had already pulled Yun Jian into his embrace and stretched out his slender hand to caress the area around Yun Jian's red eyes. "Xiao Jian, who bullied you? Tell me, I'll send them to hell." Ce spat coldly. As he spoke, his arm was wrapped around Yun Jian's waist, his sharp gaze as if he would annihilate everyone present for her with a single word from Yun Jian. Who bullied her? Was it not Qin Yiru who moved Yun Jian to tears just now? No one dared to make a sound. Yun Jian was slaying God, the top international secret agent ranking. How ordinary could Ce be when he could be with Yun Jian? The neighbors had all seen Ce before. Qin Yiru usually treated Ce as his son-in-law, so they could recognize Ce. In spite of it, the current Ce struck fear into everyone's hearts. "I'm fine." Yun Jian nestled in Ce's arms, feeling her heart calm down completely. The person who made her cry was her mother. If they were to settle the score, was Ce supposed to take it out on Qin Yiru? "Are you really okay?" Ce took a few glances at Yun Jian. He rubbed Yun Jian's head and paused before looking up abruptly. His gaze that was so gentle that it made everyone present think that he would do anything for Yun Jian was as sharp as a reaper's. After a 2-second pause, Ce's words made everyone's expression change. Ce ordered Snow Eagle and Mo Sen to carry out his orders in front of everyone. Chapter 17-19. 10 seconds was the slowest time he had given them. Ce was furious. Ce looked different from others when he was enraged. Yun Jian could tell from his furrowed brows. Ce's brows were furrowed, the veins around his brows twitching. It was the first time his handsome face had such an expression. How dare they make his woman cry? All of them would go to hell. Ae, hold on. This is because, Qin Yiru looked at the group of people Ce had brought into the house. Each of them was holding a machine gun. She did not think that Ce was joking, so she quickly stopped him. It was useless for Qin Yiru to say anything now. Ce's heart was broken when he saw Yun Jian's reddened eyes just now. In his 20 years of life, he had always been indifferent, giving off the feeling that the earth was about to explode and the sky was about to collapse. There would be no other expression on his face. At this moment, however, his expression changed again and again. His Xiao Jian was crying. The Xiao Jian whom even he could not bear to bully, who was like the apple of his eye, who was afraid of dropping and melting in his mouth, was actually crying from being bullied. Ce was truly enraged now. Xuanying and Mo Sen were more or less wary of Qin Yiru's intervention. Qin Yiru was Yun Jian's biological mother after all. Based on Ce's usual doting attitude toward Yun Jian, Qin Yiru's intervention was Qin Yiru's taboo. Hence, they did not attack right away. 5 more seconds. If everyone here isn't dead, you'll be the ones to die. Ce's hawk-like gaze was reflected on Xuanying and Mo Senator. Starting from just now, he had 10 seconds to finish off everyone here. If Xuanying and Mo Sen could not do it within Hun's men, the ones who would die would be Xuanying and Mo Sen. Ce's word surprised Xuanying and Mo Senator. The young master hadn't been this angry for many years. Strictly speaking, the last time he was so angry was when the young master was still the Lord Divine Lord. At that time, Ce was furious because the sorcerer goddess did not attend the ceremony. Coincidentally, the king of the Yulong continent said that the sorcerer goddess would not attend the ceremony. Ce was so furious that he tore the ruler of the Yulong continent, the king, into pieces. After the matter at that time came out, Lord Divine Lord's ruthlessness was thoroughly spread out. This time, Xueying and Mo Sun felt Ce's anger once again. With a wave of their hand, they were about to launch a barrage of bullets at the scene. Yun Jian's words came out in time, "It's not them, it's him." Yun Jian pointed at the old man. The surrounding people were indeed innocent. Today, when Yun Jian revealed her identity, she had already thought of a countermeasure. Qin Yiru still had to survive here. It would be enough to make these people lose all their memories of what they saw today. However, if people died here, it would not be the same thing. Yun Jian never liked to do complicated things. The deaths of the people present would not benefit her at all. At this moment, Yun Jian had figured out the ins and outs of this old man. Her master in her previous life was most likely from the Yulong continent. This old man was her master's senior brother. In addition to this old man's various actions, it was not difficult to guess that this old man had nothing to do with the Yulong continent. If she guessed correctly, this old man was just a senior brother that her master met on Earth when he was apprenticed to a master. Therefore, this old man had nothing to do with the Yulong continent. Of course, if the old man knew that she and her master were from the Yulong continent, and that she was the sorcerer goddess of the Yulong continent, the old man would not dare to cause trouble here even if he had 10 times the courage. As the sorcerer goddess, Yun Jian could tell if this old man had any spiritual energy waves. The answer was no. Therefore, she could basically guess the relationship between the old man and her master. As for her identity as the sorcerer goddess, Yun Jian did not plan to tell Qin Yiru at the moment. Yun Jian was now powerful enough to protect Qin Yiru due to the danger brought by the identity of slaying God. However, she had no idea how much danger the identity of the sorcerer goddess would bring to Qin Yiru. The continuous appearance of the mysterious man and the black-robed man, and the reason why she died in her previous life, she still needed to slowly explore all of these. Therefore, she would not reveal this identity unless it was absolutely necessary. Yun Jian's words were more effective than Ce's. Xueying and Mo Sun did not hesitate at all. They ordered the group of Han assassins behind them to put down their machine guns immediately. Tisk, TSK, TSK. Have fun on your own. I'm leaving now. Slaying God, we'll meet again next time. Slaying God, I'll definitely kill you next time. The old man glared viciously at Yun Jian. As soon as he finished speaking, he jumped up, intending to escape from the eaves under everyone's watchful eyes. Needless to say, Ce's appearance had terrified the old man. Therefore, the old man fled. Everyone present watched the scene in shock. However, before the old man could jump out of the eaves, they saw the tall figure with Yun Jian in his arms flash. In the next second, Ce was one step ahead of the old man in the air. He stood in the air and with a kick from his slender thigh, he sent the old man crashing to the ground from mid-air. Ce landed on the ground. He looked askance at the old man and said coldly, "You want to leave after bullying my woman? Leave your head behind." Chapter 17:20. The blade flashed, and the blade reflected a dazzling light under the blazing sun overhead. The light flashed in front of everyone's eyes. They did not even see when Ce struck. All they saw was the flash of light. Before the old man on the ground could react, his head had been split in half. His head and body were split in half. The old man's eyes were still wide open. His head and body had been split in half. He died with his eyes wide open. As the old man died, his eyes were still wide open, unwilling to close. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Ah! The group of old women around them reacted the quickest and screamed the loudest. Those who did not know better would have thought that they were the ones who died. Ce had finished off the old man in one move. That speed was so fast that no one knew when he had struck with his saber. Fu. Die, master is dead. Lin Mengyu's pupils suddenly shrank. She was so frightened that her expression changed. It was as if she had heard something horrifying. Her lips turned white and she stood rooted to the ground, trembling. Lin Mengyu's senior brothers were all dumbfounded. They did not see wrongly. When the old man saw Ce and said those words, he did not even care about their lives and escaped alone. If the old man had managed to escape by himself, then the few senior brothers of Lin Mengyu who were with him would have died without a doubt. But the old man failed to escape. But it was undeniable that the old man did not care about his own disciples at all just to save his own life. In addition, his master, who was extremely arrogant just a second ago, had his head chopped off at this moment. Therefore, Lin Mengyu's senior brothers could not react to the old man's selfishness and escape without caring about their lives. Now, the old man was beheaded and died on the spot. Compared to Lin Mengyu's senior brothers, Lu Fian, Li Xiangyi, and the rest were in a daze from the beginning. This is... What the hell is going on? Lu Fian, Li Xiangyi, and the rest were so shocked by the scene before them that they could not react. As for Zhang Meihua, Qin Fangfang, and the rest, they were completely dumbfounded. Ce had personally killed him. Shuang and Emosan both swallowed hard. How long had it been since their young master had personally taken action? Normally, Ce wouldn't make a move, as these trash were so weak that he didn't even need to do anything. But just now, their young master made a move again. Shuang and Emosan swallowed and sighed at Yunjian's charm. It seemed that young madam's charm was too great. Just now, when Yunjian asked Ce to go east, she didn't dare to go west. When she asked Ce to stop, she didn't even dare to let out a fart. Shuang felt that he needed to have a good chat with Adam. Next time, they shouldn't work so hard to curry favor with Yunjian. This was equivalent to currying favor with their young master. If Ce heard of Shui Ying's plan, she would probably send him flying with a slap. Mom! Younger sister! What happened? Just then, a few silhouettes walked in from the main entrance. Upon closer inspection, it was Yun-Yi, Qingyu, and Gu Nianji. Yun-Yi and Qingyu entered the courtyard side by side while Gu Nianji followed them in alone. Yun-Yi frowned when he saw the scene around him, but he was not too shocked. He already knew his younger sister Yunjian's identity. In addition, he had been training with Zhang Xiaofan and Yunjian these days. Although he was unfamiliar with such a scene, he was not shocked. As soon as Qingyu walked in, she gloated at Leng Mei's misfortune in front of everyone. Chapter 1721. What? My leader is here? Are you kidding me? I just snuck out, okay? How did he find me so quickly? Oh my God. I don't want to go back. Help me find a place to hide. Hearing Qingyu's words, Leng Mei, who had been standing where she was with her arms crossed in front of her as if she was watching a show, darkened her expression. In the next second, Leng Mei's face was as swollen as charcoal. She jumped up and looked left and right. There was nowhere to hide. There's a pigsty over there. Leng Mei, go hide for a while. It's useless to hide in the house. A pigsty is the best. Even if your leader is here, he won't enter the pigsty to look for you. Gu Nianji gave Leng Mei a kind suggestion. Yes, yes, yes. Hide in the pigsty. What? You want me to hide in the pigsty? She was Leng Mei, the blood doll's top expert. Gu Nianji was asking for a beating. She wanted her to hide in the pigsty. Leng Mei's expression darkened immediately. Do you want to be caught? Gu Nianji instigated again. People in the countryside usually had a pigsty because the elderly in the countryside would usually stay at home to farm. Since there were many vegetables at home, people in the countryside would usually raise 1 or 2 or 3 piglets at home. The extra vegetables would be eaten by the pigs so that it would not go to waste. This was considered a custom in the countryside because raising 1 or 2 piglets at home and slaughtering them for New Year's was a special way to celebrate the new year. Of course, people in the past did not raise piglets for New Year's. They were so poor that they could not even afford to eat. There were many people who died of starvation in the old days. Even if the pigs were slaughtered at home for New Year's, they were not for their family but to be sold. Pork could be sold for a lot of money. Zhang Meihua's pigsty had 3 pigs and they were already the size of adult pigs. Leng Mei was the blood doll's top expert, which meant that her ability must be extraordinary. In addition to Leng Mei's usual attire, she was quite presentable. Asking her to hide in the pigsty? This was driving her crazy. The last time she was caught, she was pinned to the bed by their leader for 3 days and 3 nights. This time, she had escaped with great difficulty. Their Lord Chief could be deceived by her once, but he couldn't be deceived by her a second time. She would not be able to escape this time. Leng Mei clenched her teeth and went all out. Hide. I'll hide. With that, Leng Mei jumped into the pigsty. Towards Leng Mei, this foreign creature, the pigs in the pigsty all howled a few times. After a while, it was unknown what Leng Mei did, but the pigs stopped howling. Ahem. Even Yun Jian couldn't help but twitch her mouth when she saw this scene. At this moment, Si walked over and pulled her into his embrace. Gu Nianji and Leng Mei's actions amused everyone present. However, other than Yun Yi, Qing Yu, and a few others, the people around them dared not move an inch from the old man's corpse. Let us go. We promise we won't go out and say anything, Yiru. Ah, Yiru. Tell your daughter to let us go. We promise that we won't tell anyone. I promise I won't say anything. I'm begging you. Let us go. The group of old women knelt before Qin Yiru and begged for mercy from the scene before them. Do you still want to live in this world after knowing my identity? Yun Jian raised her brows and asked softly. Necessary intimidation was necessary. Yun Jian's words caused another round of panic. As long as you don't kill us. We'll do anything you want us to. Anything. The people around them knelt on the ground in fear, some even kowtowed to Yun Jian. Yun Jian's eyes shone. She then signaled Qing Yu with a look so that everyone present, other than Qin Yiru, Yun Yi, and those who should not have their memories erased, had to drink the 3-hour amnesia liquid. This was Yun Jian's ultimate goal. Even Lu Fian, Li Xiangyi, and the rest were not spared. The corpses and blood on the ground were quickly cleaned up by An Hun's people. Everything returned to how it was before. Chapter 1722. Everyone fainted after drinking the amnesia liquid for 3 hours. They would not remember what had just happened when they woke up. Of course, it would take some time for them to wake up after drinking the amnesia liquid for 3 hours. Lu Fian, Li Xiangyi, Lin Mengyu, and everyone else present had no idea what the amnesia liquid was. However, due to what Yun Jian had said earlier, they would die if they did not drink the liquid. Therefore, everyone drank it obediently. What a joke. After knowing that Yun Jian was slaying God, they did not even dare to refute Yun Jian. Judging from the series of actions earlier, Yun Jian's ability to kill was no joke. Therefore, the group drank the amnesia liquid obediently. Of course, Lu Fian, Li Xiangyi, and the rest drank the liquid as well. Although they had no idea what it was, they believed that Yun Jian would not harm them. Currently, the group was unconscious on the ground and would only wake up after a while. Fortunately, the amnesia liquid that Qing Yu had specially developed did not have any side effects and could be used multiple times on the same person. Di Lin's sudden appearance gave Qin Yiru another shock. However, Qin Yiru had enough scares today. 1 or 2 more would not make a difference. Di Lin, who appeared at the entrance of the courtyard, looked around and asked Yun Jian, "Has Leng Mei been here before?" Di Lin asked Yun Jian because he thought that Yun Jian would not lie to him. Yun Jian's red lips curved slightly. Just as she was about to betray Leng Mei, she heard Leng Mei's warning imitating a pig's cry from the pigsty next door. "Ow ow, humph, humph," the impersonation was quite accurate. If Leng Mei had not jumped into the pigsty earlier, Yun Jian would not have been able to tell whether the cry was a real pig's cry or Leng Mei's voice. The pig's cry was too prominent, similar to Leng Mei's cries in bed. Di Lin turned to look at the pigsty. "She hasn't been here." Yun Jian leaned her back gently against Siyi's chest. She pursed her lips and lied without batting an eyelid. Yun Jian suspected that she had been possessed by Siyi. I'm getting better at lying." At this moment, Di Lin was already walking towards the pigsty. "Damn these lazy pigs. I just fed you pig food this morning, and now you're squawking, 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 squawking. What the hell are you screaming for? Here's the pig feed." At that moment, Gu Nianji, who was standing not too far away from the pigsty, had an idea. She grabbed the pig food next to the pigsty and poured it all into the pigsty. Wheeze. Wheeze. The pigs in the pigsty all let out satisfied noises and began to scramble for the pig food. Seeing this, Di Lin went into the room to check. He didn't see Leng Mei. He left behind a relatively handsome back view and left. After making sure that Di Lin had left, Gu Nianji dragged Leng Mei out of the pigsty. Reality proved that Leng Mei had chased Gu Nianji around Xinjiang town for dozens of rounds. Inside the room, Yun Yi, Qin Yu, Yun Jian, Qin Yiru, and Ce sat together at the table. Knowing that Qin Yiru already knew the truth, Yun Yi opened her mouth, but it was Qin Yiru who asked first. "Xiao Yi, you've known about this for a long time, haven't you?" Qin Yiru asked Yun Yi if she knew that Yun Jian was no longer the Yun Jian of the past. "Brother found out not too long ago," Yun Jian suddenly said, then leaned on Ce's shoulder and told Yun Yi and Qin Yiru. Chapter 1723. Yun Jian told Qin Yiru and Yun Yi everything about her. Other than what happened in Yulong mainland and some things that could not be said, she had told them everything she could. After listening to what Yun Jian said, Qin Yiru completely believed that the woman in front of her was not her biological daughter. Qin Yiru was upset, but there was nothing she could do. "I don't know where the real Yun Jian went, but I promise that I'll do my best to find her." Yun Jian's determined gaze tugged at Qin Yiru's heartstrings. "No. This is her fate. All of this is fate. Child, you're my child. This isn't your fault. You shouldn't go through this." Qin Yiru was worried that Yun Jian would get into trouble while searching for her daughter. Hence, Qin Yiru grabbed Yun Jian. How could Qin Yiru not want to find her biological daughter? She should not and would never force Yun Jian to help her search. Yun Jian was a child who had a hard life. She had lived in a place like that in her past life and suffered so much. "Your mom's Xiao Jian from now on. Mom will love you forever," Qin Yiru told Yun Jian as she tugged at her hand. "You have to be good to my younger sister or I won't let you go as her brother." Yun Yi gestured at Ce. Qin Yiru and Yun Yi were indirectly acknowledging Yun Jian. They were a family. "Mom, brother, thank you." Yun Jian's heart warmed. She felt like she had someone to rely on right now. This was the reliance that came from family. "I'll protect her with my life." Ce grabbed Yun Jian's soft hand and told Yun Yi and Qin Yiru solemnly. Yun Yi and Qin Yiru were comforted by the gesture. Yun Jian breathed a sigh of relief after what happened in Xinjiang town. It was also a relief for Yun Jian when Qin Yiru learned the truth. Other than Qin Yiru who knew the truth, everyone else had forgotten what happened that day. Of course, that was except for those who already knew. Ce and Shuang returned to an Hun group. Before they left, Ce had left her most capable assistant, Mo Sun, to work under Yun Jian. This Saturday, after visiting Chen Sini at Longmen City People's Hospital, Yun Jian was invited by Su Mei to visit Luo Berry's house. Su Mei and Luo Berry were acquainted with Yun Jian in the selection field. When they first entered the field, Su Mei was older and often took care of Yun Jian and Luo Berry. Su Mei invited Yun Jian to visit Luo Berry's house this week and Yun Jian did not refuse. Before they left, Yun Jian even called Mo Sun, the assistant that Ce had left for her, along. Luo Berry's family was rich. How rich were they? Based on their family's wealth, it was more than enough to buy hundreds of helicopters. Luo Berry's family was located in Donglin City in the northern province. Donglin City was a coastal city and the property prices here were very high. It was one of the first-tier cities in country Z. Luo Berry's house was located halfway up a tall mountain. This entire mountain was her family's property. The owners of Luo Berry's house were Luo Berry's grandfather and grandmother. Her family was a more feudal family. Luo Berry's father and mother lived together with her uncles, aunts, and uncles. Mo Sun, who followed behind Yun Jian and Su Mei, was no different from a bodyguard. They had finally arrived at the entrance of Luo Berry's house halfway up the mountain. Luo Berry had been waiting there since early morning. When she saw Yun Jian and Su Mei, Luo Berry pounced on them. "I'm so happy that you guys can come to our house to play." Luo Berry hugged Yun Jian and Su Mei. Luo Berry was 1.6 meters tall with a slim figure. She was already 18 years old but she looked like she was only 14 or 15 years old. She looked very young. After hugging Yun Jian and Su Mei, Luo Berry glanced behind Yun Jian and Su Mei and saw Mo Sun, who was calm and silent, standing behind them. Why was he here too? Chapter 1724. She turned around and saw Mo Sun standing behind Yun Jian. His sharp eyes were looking straight ahead. He did not even look at her, as if they had never met before. Luo Berry's heart sank. She did not know why. She had nothing to do with him, but when she saw him looking at her with the gaze of a stranger, she felt disappointed. "Little Strawberry. Little Strawberry. Little Strawberry. Why are you in a daze? Have you been mesmerized by Sister Unlucky's valiant demeanor?" Su Mei called out the nickname she gave Luo Berry a few times and flipped her short hair, showing off in front of Luo Berry and Yun Jian unabashedly. Little Strawberry was the nickname Su Mei gave Luo Berry. Although Su Mei was a woman, she had short and delicate hair, which made her look like a tomboy. After calling Luo Berry back to her senses, Su Mei walked over and put one hand on Luo Berry's shoulder. She put the other hand on Yun Jian's shoulder and led them into the villa. "Let's go. It's my first time visiting such a high-class place. Little Strawberry, you have to be a good guide. Otherwise, I'll get lost." Su Mei had a straightforward personality. She was like a heroine. Of course, it was because of this that Yun Jian did not hate her. After a while, Luo Berry finally recovered from her earlier expression. Su Mei had a straightforward personality. She was like a man and did not have any meticulous thoughts. Therefore, she did not notice the way Luo Berry looked at Mo. Senator Yun Jian was observant. Even the slightest movement could not fool her eyes. Therefore, she saw Luo Berry's feelings for Mo. Senator. However, Yun Jian did not say a word. Luo Berry's villa occupied a large area. It was the size of 50 basketball courts. It was not an exaggeration. Just looking in from the main entrance, there were endless lawns and flower beds. There was no trace of the villa. In a normal villa forest, a villa was only that big. However, when one entered Luo Berry's house from the main entrance, there was no trace of the house. From the house to the gate, Luo Berry took a private car. One could imagine how big Luo Berry's house was. Su Mei was amazed by Luo Berry's family's wealth the whole time. It took more than 10 minutes to get from the gate to her house in Luo Berry's private car. After getting out of the car, Su Mei was even more shocked by the luxurious Rockberry's house. She kept screaming. Of course, it wasn't her fault. Su Mei's family background wasn't very good. It was the first time she had seen such a place, so it was no wonder that she was a little surprised. As soon as he got out of the car, he saw a group of young men and women standing at the main entrance of the villa. These young men and women were all dressed up in famous brands. At first glance, he could tell that they were the princesses and young masters of the upper class. Come in, come in. I'll make tea for you. Luo Berry took Yunjian and Su Mei's hands and walked into the house. However, before she could bring Yunjian, Su Mei, and Mo Sun into the house, a boy who looked a little like Luo Mei among the group of boys and girls standing next to her stopped Luo Mei. Little Berry, who are you bringing with you? Why, are you ignoring your cousin now when you see him? Originally, when Luo Berry brought Yunjian, Su Mei, and Mo Sun into the house, no one could see them. The group of boys and girls around them were having a lot of fun. But when this boy who looked a little like Luo Berry spoke, everyone looked over. If it was said that the people that Yunjian met in the past were mostly rich people in disguise, then at this moment, the group of boys and girls standing in front of Yunjian and the rest, which one of them didn't come from a rich family? As the saying goes, people from the same family would make friends with people from the same family. If a child from a rich family made friends with a child from a poor family, they would be laughed at. Su Mei wasn't dressed well. Because her family was poor, the clothes she bought were very ordinary. Of course, it was considered presentable among ordinary people. The clothes that Yunjian and Mo Sun were wearing belonged to the upper class, but Yunjian and Mo Sun didn't wear famous brands to show off and attract attention. But the group of boys and girls standing in the distance all determined a person's status based on their clothes. This was especially true for people like them, who had been pampered and spoiled since they were young. Yunjian and the rest were not dressed badly, but in their eyes, they were like frogs at the bottom of a well. Immediately, a girl who was wearing famous brands from head to toe, even her underwear, walked to Luo Berry's cousin and turned her head to mock Yunjian and the rest as if they were a joke. Chapter 1725. The cousin who just called Luo Mei was called Luo Xiling. He had good facial features and looked modest. The girl who spoke later was called Xiang Jiai. She was a friend of Luo Mei's cousin. Her family was also very rich. If she could hang out with Luo Xiling's group of young masters and princesses, her family would not be too bad. At this moment, Luo Mei, who was called, paused. Yunjian was right. When Luo Xiling called Luo Mei's body shrank obviously. There was a moment of fear. Let's go. Ignore them. Luo Mei hurriedly pulled Yunjian and Su Mei into the house. Luo Mei was 18 years old. She was petite and cute. Because of her baby face, her skin was as smooth and delicate as a newborn baby's, so she looked only 14 or 15 years old. Rich ladies, such as Xiang Jiai, were born ugly. Her appearance was very dark and her skin was terrible. However, she covered her terrible skin with branded cosmetics and slightly warmed it up. Luo Mei was the kind of person who did not need skincare products at all. Her facial features were delicate and beautiful since she was a child. Although her slender legs were not very long, they were in the golden ratio with her upper body. She was very beautiful. Xiang Jiai was very envious. So when she saw Yunjian, Su Mei and Mo Sun dressed very ordinary, she took this opportunity to suppress Luo Mei. However, one thing had to be said. Mo Sun was the most handsome man present, and Xiang Jiai was really attracted to him. In spite of it, Mo Sun stood behind Yunjian without uttering a word, not even glancing at anyone. His aloofness surprised everyone present. Just when Luo Mei was about to take Yun Jian and others into the villa, Luo Xiling interrupted Xiang Jia and stood in front of Yun Jian and the others. Xiang Jia, you can't say that. Everyone is equal, no matter who is rich or poor. After that, Luo Xiling glanced at Yun Jian and others with the demeanor of a gentleman. Then he bowed slightly and invited them very elegantly. My friend offended you just now, so I'd like to apologize to you. Also, we're planning to go to our own racetrack for a race. If you're free, why don't you come and have some fun? Then, Luo Xiling looked at Luo Mei. I'm not going. If you want to go, go by yourselves. They won't go either. Luo Berry's reaction was very strong. Luo Mei's reaction made Yun Jian's gaze sharpen. Little sister Little Berry, why don't we go together? We just saw old lady Luo in the house. If old lady Luo sees them. Immediately, a boy dressed in branded clothes and wearing a very expensive Swiss watch walked up from the side. The boy glanced at Yun Jian and the other two before speaking to Luo Mei. Luo Berry's expression changed when he heard that. Old Madame Luo was Lubi's grandmother. Madame Luo was an old woman with a very feudal mindset. She usually didn't like Luo Berry. In addition, Luo Berry's usual friends were not the young masters and princesses of the upper class designated by Madame Luo, so Madame Luo disliked Luo Berry even more. But Madame Luo was usually not at home. Why was she at home now? Luo Berry's expression darkened. She wasn't afraid that Madame Luo would blame her for making friends with people who weren't from the upper class. Instead, she was afraid that Madame Luo wouldn't be nice to Yun Jian and the other two. Okay. Luo Berry had to compromise. She had to go to the racetrack built by the Luo family first. Yun Jian didn't say anything since the beginning, but she could feel that Luo Berry's family wasn't an ordinary one. Their family was strict, and the atmosphere was probably not very good. Racing was one of the after-dinner activities of this group of rich second-generation heirs. And the Luo family had their own racetrack. The boy with the Swiss watch who persuaded Luo Berry to bring Yun Jian and the others to the racetrack was called Shi Qian. He looked ordinary, but he was born with a mouth that loved to show off. Boys from poor families had their own way of showing off, and boys from rich families also had their own way of showing off in front of girls. As the group of people walked to the racetrack, Shi Qian had already walked to Yun Jian's side and kept asking Yun Jian questions. If it weren't for Mo Sun who was standing around, Shi Qian would have stuck to Yun Jian at this moment. You're Yun Jian? What a beautiful name. Hey! Have you ever raced before? Shi Qian asked. How can a girl like her play racing? A boy next to Shi Qian interrupted and came over. You're right. Shi Qian patted his head. Yun Jian didn't say a word since just now. At this time, in order to show off, the group of boys began to flaunt in front of the girls. Hey, do you know the SS in the racing world? Isn't that the top figure in the racing world? I heard that the SS appeared in Maryland in Country M some time ago. Is this true? It must be true. One of my buddies saw it with their own eyes. Chapter 1726. Along the way, Chen Xian and the others bragged about their driving skills, as if they were the top racers. Yun Jian was immune to it, and she didn't say a word. Young boys and girls gathered together. Regardless of whether they were rich or poor, these boys always liked to talk about things that sounded impressive to the girls. Moreover, whenever something was mentioned, this group of boys would always brag about the top few world-shaking existences. In the racing circle, the most famous car in the world was SS. Therefore, these boys liked to brag about SS. This was not the first time they had mentioned it. Yun Jian didn't even bother to reply. When they arrived at the racetrack, these boys fought to be the first to show off their skills. Yun Jian, Su Mei, Luo Berry, and Mo Sun sat on the spectator stand and didn't look at these boys at all. There was no one around, only the four of them. Su Mei asked Luo Berry her doubts. Little Strawberry, who is Madame Luo? She's my grandma. Luo Berry's frown was now slightly relaxed. She's more domineering. She forced my friends to me since I was young, and then. Luo Berry suddenly stopped talking. Later, she met her good friend, but in the end, her good friend's boyfriend cheated on her. Because her family was rich, her boyfriend turned around and pursued her. Her good friend broke up with her because of this, and even insulted her as a whore. But she couldn't say these words out loud. Luo Berry stopped talking halfway, but the people present could understand the meaning of Luo Berry's words. If Luo Berry had brought the three of them home, Madame Luo would have looked at them coldly and mocked them. No one noticed that Mo Sen's sharp eyes flashed slightly when he heard Luo Mei's dejected words. When my grandma leaves later, we can go back. Luo Berry looked at Yun Jian and then at Su Mei, and suddenly grinned. Madame Luo didn't live in the Luo family's main house. She liked peace and quiet, so she lived in a small villa not far from the Luo family's main house. It was rare for her to come back. From the racetrack, they could see if there were any cars driving out of the gate. After basking in the sun for about half an hour, she saw the figure of old lady Luo's private driver driving her away. Seeing this, Luo Huan stood up and said to Yun Jian and the other two, "Let's go." On the other side, Chen Xian, who had been racing a few rounds to attract Yun Jian's attention, saw that Yun Jian and the others were about to leave. He quickly rushed over and asked, "You guys are leaving?" "Okay." Luo Huan nodded and left with Yun Jian and Su Mei without greeting Chen Xian and the others. Luo Mei's behavior was very unusual. Seeing this, Yun Jian did not say anything. After staying at Luo Berry's house for a day, Luo Berry asked Yun Jian and the others to stay overnight. The Luo family had a special room for guests, and the room was like a hotel. Someone would come and clean it every day. In the evening, Yun Jian was sleeping alone on the bed with her eyes closed. Suddenly, there was a strange sound of footsteps outside the door. It was not the sound of someone passing by. She turned over and stood up, opened the door and chased after it. Looking at that sneaky figure, Yun Jian's eyes turned sharp. Wasn't that Luo Xiling, Luo Huan's cousin? What did he want to do? Yun Jian's flexible figure was as fast as lightning, and she caught up with him without leaving a trace. When turning a corner, Yun Jian bumped into a group of people. That group of people were the boys who raced with Luo Xiling during the day, including Xiang Jiai, who mocked Yun Jian at the beginning. The Luo family had a special VIP hotel, so this group of people often stayed at the Luo family's house. It was no secret. At this time, Luo Xiling's expression, which was sneaky as if he was going to do something bad, suddenly became normal. He also greeted the friends he met along the way. "Where are you going, brother?" Chen Xian asked Luo Xiling. "I'm going to the rooftop for a walk," Luo Xiling said and walked through these people naturally. Yun Jian also pretended that nothing happened and walked to Luo Xiling. No one noticed her at first. But, Xiang Jiai was not happy with Luo Berry, and she was also not happy with Yun Jian. When she saw Yun Jian walking over there, she immediately called out to Yun Jian. Chapter 1727. Xiang Jiai's gaze on Yun Jian was blatant disgust. Yun Jian originally planned to pretend that she didn't see this group of people and follow Luo Xiling silently. But Xiang Jiai stopped in front of her and looked at her with an expression that said, "I know what you want to do." As a rich second generation, Xiang Jiai was very confident in her suspicions. What was Yun Jian doing out here in the middle of the night instead of sleeping? Besides seducing the rich second generation, what else could a poor person like her do? Xiang Jiai directly identified Yun Jian as that kind of woman. Because Yun Jian didn't refute her word since the day, Xiang Jiai regarded Yun Jian as a girl who wanted to please her and didn't dare to refute her. Therefore, Xiang Jia sneered at Yun Jian even more. Why aren't you talking? Oh. Like I said, someone like you, I already know who you're fighting. Before Xiang Jia finished her words, Yun Jian's sharp eyes suddenly glanced at Xiang Jia, and then in front of Xiang Jia and the surrounding boys who wanted to show off in front of the girls in the afternoon, she mercilessly attacked Xiang Jia. Your family's property is not enough for me to buy 3 fighter jets. What's the use of it? Yun Jian didn't say anything, and everyone present thought that she had nothing to say. After all, Luo Xiling's family was so rich, and there were rich second-generation young masters and princesses living in the family. How could an ordinary girl not be envious when she lived here? Envy was one thing, but getting it was another thing. But a girl who wanted to be a phoenix flying on the branch, wasn't that the same thing? But to everyone's surprise, Yun Jian actually said such arrogant words. You. Xiang Jia was stunned by Yun Jian's words, and she couldn't react for a long time. Finally, another girl standing next to Xiang Jia couldn't stand it anymore and retorted to Yun Jian again, look at yourself. Why don't you take a look at yourself? A fighter jet? Have you ever flown a fighter jet? I think you don't even know how to drive a car. What fighter jet, puff? I'm dying of laughter. After the girl finished her words, Xiang Jia's face became a little better, and then she followed the girl to fight back against Yun Jian. But at this moment, Yun Jian ignored Xiang Jia and went straight to where Luo Xiling went. Xiang Jia didn't stop Yun Jian at this time. She stood behind and ridiculed Yun Jian until Yun Jian's figure disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. SSSSSSSSS, Luozzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzz. Luoz's atzzzzzz, Luo, SSS. SS, look SSCT's look. Was hiding. Luo S's, S. T-Tess, S2 T, S, S's, S. What made Yun Jian squint was that Luo Xiling's voice was the same as Mo Sen's. After Luo Xiling said this, Luo Meiyue's bedroom door opened in the next second. As soon as the door opened, Luo Mei saw Luo Xiling. She was so scared that her face turned pale and she quickly closed the door. The door was blocked by Luo Xiling. Cousin, why are you here? What are you doing? If you keep doing this, I'm going to scream for help. Luo Berry's face turned pale. My dear cousin, you used to refuse to open the door no matter what. Today, I finally got the chance. You like that kid, don't you? He, I still have to thank that kid today. If it wasn't for him, how would you be willing to open the door for me, my good sister? Let me show you some love. Luo Xiling changed his elegant demeanor during the day and turned into a beast of love. Yun Jian's eyes flashed sharply. Just as she was about to make a move, she saw a black shadow flash by. Chapter 1728. Mo Sen's action made Yun Jian, who had planned to come out, hide in the dark and look at him coldly. She had felt that Luo Berry's cousin was not right, but she didn't expect, he actually laid hands on his cousin. He could even do this kind of incestuous thing. Yun Jian had seen her fair share of things, so she was only taken aback for a moment. Luo Xiling's body was like a kite with a broken string, smashed to the ground. Seeing the scene where Luo Xiling wanted to humiliate Luo Berry, Mo Sen had an impulse to blow Luo Xiling's head directly. Luo Berry was wearing strawberry pajamas, which was a one-piece style. At this time, she was frightened by Luo Xiling's action and sat on the ground, holding her knees and sobbing. Luo Xiling was kicked by Mo Sen and fainted after landing. Mo Sen didn't know where he got his anger from. He was about to go over and kill Luo Xiling directly. But he saw Luo Berry holding her knees and trembling, squatting and sobbing. Her underwear under the dress was exposed. Fortunately, there was no one around, so Mo Sen let Luo Xiling go. He took off his coat, walked over and put it on Luo Berry, pulled Luo Berry up and hugged her in front of his chest. Even Mo-san himself didn't know why he hugged Luo Berry. Perhaps it was because it was too distressing to see her sobbing like this. The sound of Luo Xiling being kicked by Mo-san just now shocked everyone in the villa. After things calmed down, everyone was called to the villa hall. Old Madame Luo had rushed over from another villa overnight. When she arrived and saw Yun Jian, Su Mei, and Mo-san's attire, she gave them a cold look. Especially when Mo-san was hugging Luo Berry. At this moment, Luo Berry was only wearing Mo-san's coat. Her bottom was not exposed, but her white and slender thighs were exposed. When she saw Luo Xiling fainted on the ground, Mrs. Luo was angry. "What's the matter?" There were many people standing around, including Xiang Jia and Shi Chenxian. Everyone stood in place. There was a boy who was Luo Xiling and Luo Berry's cousin. He didn't know the specific situation, but he knew that Mrs. Luo loved Luo Xiling the most. So the boy talked to Mrs. Luo and pointed to Mo-san who was holding Luo Berry. "It's him. Damn it, he must have plagiarized his cousin." Even now, he still refused to let go. Cousin would definitely find out about this and stop it. In the end, it turned out like this. The boy's words made old Madame Luo frown. She didn't like Luo Mei to begin with, and now she hated her even more. Knowing that Yun Jian and the other two were brought into the house by Luo Berry, Madame Luo hated people like Yun Jian who had no status, so she said in a domineering and feudal way, "The Luo family doesn't have a descendant like Luo Berry. Shameless. Hooking up with a wild man who came out of nowhere. You even brought her into our house." Just as Madame Luo was about to continue speaking, Yun Jian immediately interrupted her. "He's my subordinate. Old hag, I dare you to say the word wild man again." Yun Jian's words shocked everyone present. Who was Madame Luo? In the Luo family, other than Old Master Luo, Old Madame Luo was the most authoritative person. Even Xiang Jia and Shi Chenxian, who were usually arrogant, were in awe of Old Madame Luo. And Yun Jian. She dared to call Madame Luo an old hag in public? "You. What did you say? Who are you? How dare you threaten me?" Madame Luo was angered by Yun Jian. She swung her crutch on the spot and roared at Yun Jian. As soon as the words fell, Yun Jian stared at Madame Luo coldly. In front of everyone present, her words scared Madame Luo, including everyone around, out of their wits. The so-called noble families of Z country, the Luo family's style is just like this. "I am the chairman of Rongyao Company. If I remember correctly, your Luo family begged to cooperate with my Rongyao Company last week." Chapter 1729. Rongyao Company? Chairman? You? After all, old Madame Luo was the mistress of the Luo family. After hearing Yun Jian's words, she quickly reacted and looked at Yun Jian with a questioning and constricted eyes. The faces of the people around who were watching Yun Jian and her subordinate Mo-san's joke were also slightly stiff. The faces of Xiang Jia, Shi Chenxian, and others almost instantly darkened to the extreme. The color on their faces was as if they had been smeared with feces, extremely outstanding. The chairman of the Rongyao Company? What a joke! Grandma, the Rongyao Company is a big multinational company. Even among the large international multinational companies, it is one of the best. But how old is she? How dare she say that she is the chairman of the Rongyao Company? Don't be fooled by her. The boy who just flattered old Madame Luo just now was Luo Xiling and Luo Mei's cousin, Luo Zhongzhong. Because the Luo family was in business, the descendants of the Luo family usually had contact with companies and had some understanding of many companies in the world today. In order to please Luo Xiling just now, Luo Zhongzhong helped Luo Xiling to say that Mo-san sneaked into Luo Mei's room and wanted to do something to her. After that, he was caught by Luo Xiling and even knocked out Luo Xiling. Now, in order to please old Madame Luo, Luo Zhongzhong spoke again and found all kinds of reasons to deny Yun Jian's words. Luo Zhongzhong's words were indeed reasonable. What kind of company was the Rongyao Company's status? Could Yun Jian be the chairman of the Rongyao Company? She must be dreaming. It's the middle of the night. Do you think you're dreaming? Could it be that he was sleepwalking? Ha ha ha. There was a burst of mocking laughter around. Yun Jian's eyes deepened. She was about to do something else when Emosen stopped Yun Jian's action and stood up. Young madam, this has nothing to do with you. You don't have to do anything. Emosen was an upright person. Yun Jian had no responsibility to speak up for him tonight. What's more, he was one of the 4 leaders of the Inhun organization. How could he not solve this kind of problem? Su Mei stood aside and opened her mouth but said nothing in the end. Listen. Did you hear that? He called that girl, young madam. Puff. Did they think that they were from a military family or gangsters? Young madam. Then I'm still the head of the household. Ha ha ha. Later on, he would say that he was the chairman of Rongyao Company. He was a righteous and powerful person. Now you're blowing your own trumpet. Since you're so powerful, why don't you say you're invincible? As soon as Emosen's voice fell, a large group of people who were watching the show pointed at Emosen and Yun Jian and laughed. This time, everyone really took Yun Jian's words as a joke. Yun Jian naturally ignored the words of the surrounding people. Since Emosen had spoken, she would no longer interfere in this matter. Just as Madame Luo knocked on her crutch and was about to say something fiercely, a thunderous roar suddenly came from the gate. What's going on? At the entrance, a majestic figure was walking towards them. Behind this majestic figure, there were a few other submissive figures. The owner of this majestic figure was 1.75 meters tall. He was a very strong old man. This person was the head of the Luo family, Old Master Luo. The submissive figures behind him were Old Master Luo's sons, daughters, daughters-in-law, and son-in-law. Seeing Old Master Luo coming in and her parents standing behind him, Luo Mei, who was trembling and speechless because of Luo Xiling, shrank into Mo Sen's arms and was hugged tightly by Mo Sr. Look. Old man, look at this. Look at what your granddaughter has done. She didn't sleep in the middle of the night and had an affair with a man. Our good grandson Xiling saw it and knocked him out. Madame Luo complained to Old Master Luo. Chapter 1730. A long time ago, Luo Xiling would touch her whenever he had the chance. Although Luo Mei had never been touched by Luo Xiling, sometimes when Luo Xiling was close to Luo Mei, he would touch her little hand and rub her head. At first, Luo Mei didn't feel strange until she heard Luo Xiling's conversation with his cousin Luo Zhongzhong one night, saying that he must get her. From then on, Luo Mei would avoid Luo Xiling whenever she saw him. This was also the reason why Yun Jian found Luo Mei was abnormal when she saw Luo Xiling when she entered the Luo family. As for Luo Xiling's imitation of Mo Sen's voice, it was not difficult to explain. Luo Xiling must have learned this skill. It could be seen that Luo Mei's status in the Luo family was not high. So Yun Jian was sure that Luo Mei had never dared to tell anyone in the Luo family that Luo Xiling was plotting against her. After all, Luo Xiling's status in the Luo family was very high. Now Luo Mei dared to say it because she was afraid that people around would misunderstand Mo's senator, but just when Luo Mei said this, a middle-aged man standing behind Mr. Luo shouted at Luo Mei, what are you talking about? Shut up. This honest middle-aged man was Luo Mei's biological father, Luo Lin. The quiet middle-aged woman standing next to Luo Lin was Luo Lin's wife and Luo Mei's mother, Bai Wenxiang. Luo Mei's father, Luo Lin, was an honest man. To put it bluntly, in front of Mr. Luo, Luo Lin was as honest as a pug. As soon as he entered the door, he saw his daughter in the arms of a strange man. He didn't even ask what was going on. Because he was afraid of his old father, Mr. Luo, he shouted at Luo Mei directly. Luo Mei burst into tears when she was yelled at. Because she knew this situation and wanted to stay in the Luo family, Luo Mei never dared to say that Luo Xiling was plotting against her. Perhaps in the eyes of outsiders, Luo Mei was a member of the Luo family. She was very well off and could go out smoothly. But in the Luo family, Luo Mei's status was almost non-existent. This was the wealthy Luo family. Look at the situation now. How dare you hug her? What a scandal. Hurry up and come over. Grandpa Luo didn't like Luo Berry either, so when he saw that Mo-san was still holding Luo Berry, he immediately yelled at Luo Berry. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and didn't say anything. Luo Berry was so frightened by the roar that she trembled slightly. Her heart was bleeding. Everything else was nothing to Rockberry, but to be scolded like that in front of Mo-san, Rockberry had an indescribable feeling. However, Luo Mei still grabbed the coat that Mo-san had put on her and walked towards old Master Luo. However, just as she was about to leave Mo-san's embrace, Luo Mei felt her wrist being grabbed tightly. In the next second, she, who was about to leave Mo-san's embrace, was once again pulled into his embrace. She will no longer be under your control. Mo-san reached out and gently wiped away the tears at the corner of Luo Mei's eyes. He said this without changing his expression. Who do you think you are? Luo Berry was a member of the Luo family when she was alive, and she will be a ghost of the Luo family even after she dies. What right do you have to control her? Grandfather Luo was so angry that his face was bulging. He could tell that this poor kid wanted Luo Berry, right? His Luo family's women's marriages were all arranged with other rich families. Who did this poor kid think he was? He wanted to take Luo Berry away. Bam! At this moment, the door was suddenly pushed open. A figure as handsome as Mo-san immediately walked in. After this figure entered, he walked straight to Mo-san in front of everyone present. The moment this figure entered, Grandfather Luo's face darkened. He was so frightened that he exclaimed at this figure, You are one of the 4 leaders of an Hun group, Adam? After that, Adam, who had attracted everyone's attention, walked quickly to Yun Jian. He first nodded at Yun Jian and greeted respectfully, Young madam. Then, he walked to Mo-san's side and ignored Grandfather Luo. He naturally placed his hand on Mo-san's shoulder and raised his eyebrows at Mo-san. Mo-san, it's been so long since we last met. Even this kind of trash dares to bully you? After Adam finished speaking, everyone noticed the way Adam addressed Mo Senator. Seeing this, Grandfather Luo was so frightened that his face changed. He looked at Yun Jian and then at Mo-san and exclaimed, Mo-san? Are you one of the 4 leaders of an Hun group, Mo-san? Chapter 1731. Among the 4 leaders of the Hun organization, Shuang was the one who hung around the public the most. Next was Adam. Although Adam and Mo-san often followed Ce, Adam would hang around with Shuang whenever he had free time. Therefore, there were still many international bigwigs who knew Adam well. Mo-san was a relatively low-key person. He usually followed Ce silently and acted in a low-key manner. Therefore, there were not many opportunities for him to be exposed in front of international bigwigs. As for Lin Wei, he was in charge of the Hun organization's assassin training camp. Therefore, he had the least opportunities to be exposed in front of international bigwigs. Grandfather Luo happened to see Adam once before. At that time, Adam was still standing with Shuang. In front of the real international bigwigs, Grandfather Luo didn't even dare to fart. Therefore, when he saw Adam, he didn't dare to go forward. At this moment, he suddenly saw Adam and heard how Adam addressed Mo Senator. Old Master Luo was dumbfounded. Especially when Adam respectfully addressed Yun Jian as, Young Madam. Young Madam? Xiang Jiai, Shi Chen Xian, Luo Zhongzhong, and Old Madam Luo, who were standing around, were all stunned at this moment. They were looking at Yun Jian with disbelief and fear. Grandfather Luo just looked at Adam and Mo Sen and exclaimed. Everyone present felt that Adam and Mo Sen's identity was not ordinary. At this moment, everyone who was shocked by Adam and Mo Sen's identity suddenly came back to their senses. Just now, Mo Sen also called Yun Jian as young madam, but the people around didn't take it seriously. Instead, they mocked and ridiculed. At this moment, Adam, who was frightened by Grandfather Luo, also called Yun Jian as young madam. And Adam and Mo Sen were the 4 leaders of the Han organization? Everyone present was dumbfounded. Their faces were so dark that they couldn't be described with words. Yun Jian, was she the young madam of the Han organization? Damn old man, don't look at me with such a shocked expression. You guessed right. Mo Sen, one of the 4 leaders of the Han organization, is the wild man you are talking about. Yun Jian crossed her arms. She didn't intend to participate, but she didn't expect Grandfather Luo to point the spearhead at her. Therefore, she added a few words. What? The person who scolded Mo Sen as a wild man was Madame Luo. At this moment, after hearing Yun Jian's words, Madame Luo directly covered her heart and was so scared that she almost had a myocardial infarction. Old Master Luo had told old Madame Luo a long time ago that there were only 2 underworld forces in the world that should not be provoked. One of them was the Han organization, and the other was the Kosha mercenaries. And just now, she actually scolded one of the 4 leaders of Han organization, Mo Sen, whose position was second only to the mysterious leader of Han organization. Grandma! Grandma! Mrs. Luo was so scared that she fainted directly, and all the grandchildren around her rushed over. Xiang Jiai, who had said earlier that Yun Jian was delusional about marrying into a rich family and seducing the rich second generation, was in a state of shock. Yun Jian, was the young mistress of the Han organization? How is this possible? Also, Yun Jian said that their family fortune was not enough for her to buy 3 fighter jets. Could it be that all of this was real? The surroundings were in a mess. Su Mei was also looking at Yun Jian in a daze when Yun Jian tilted her head to look at Adam. She raised a brow and asked lazily, "Where's Lan Su?" She went to Qing Yu's house now, saying that she wanted to catch up with Qing Yu. I located Mo Sen's address, that's why I came over. He didn't expect to see such a hot scene. Mo Sen, the abstinent type, was actually hugging a woman in his arms. Adam scratched his head and said to Yun Jian. Although Adam was Mo Sen's biological younger brother, he had never addressed him as such. Usually, Adam had never seen his biological brother, Mo Sen, getting close to any woman. What was going on today though? Was the end of the world coming? Chapter 1732. If Mo Sen heard Adam's words, he would not be walking out of this door today. Yun Jian smirked. Luo Berry, who was in Mo Sen's arms, was dumbfounded. He was actually Mo Sen, one of the 4 leaders of Han group. The younger generation of the Luo family would usually be taught some knowledge of the business world. Luo Berry had heard a lot about large organizations like Han group and Kosha mercenaries. However, Luo Berry thought that she would never have any dealings with Han group or Kosha mercenaries in her life, so she had never purposely explained it. Knowing that Mo Sen was one of the 4 leaders of Han group, Luo Berry instantly felt that she was not worthy of him. Hence, Luo Berry, who was nestled in Mo Sen's arms, tried to break free. However, Luo Berry's wrist was gripped tightly by Mo Sen and she could not break free. In the end, it was Luo Berry's mother, Bai Wenxiang, who came over to pull Luo Berry away that the drama stopped. It was then that Mo Sen realized that he had been holding the innocent girl's hand for quite some time. What, are you tempted? Snatch her home if you are. Adam, who stood beside Mo Sen, extended his right arm to nudge him as he said with a grin. Don't spout nonsense, Adam. Mo Sen's gaze dimmed as he walked away. Mo Sen was not a man of words. Yun Jian had wanted to help Mo Sen and Luo Berry, but with Adam guiding Mo Sen, her intention to help Mo Sen was nixed. Old Madame Luo and Luo Xiling had fainted, but the Luo family was so busy that they called a family doctor to check on them. They were only relieved after making sure that they were fine. Yun Jian slept soundly that night. After staying at the Luo family for 3 days, Yun Jian even invited Luo Berry to Longmen City before she left. Luo Berry was not going, but she went with Yun Jian after Old Master Luo called her to the study and lectured her. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes when she saw Luo Meiqi coming out of the study with a sullen face. Although she didn't ask Luo Meiqi what Luo said to her in the study, she could imagine what Luo Meiqi would say. Coincidentally, Yun Jian, Su Mei, and Luo Meiqi were taking a walk in the flower bed. Su Mei couldn't help but ask Luo Meiqi, "Little Strawberry, what did that old man say to you just now?" At first, Luo Meibei refused to say. Later, under Su Mei's questioning, Luo Meibei finally stuttered and told her what Old Master Luo had told her just now. What? That old man was actually so vicious. He actually asked you to seduce Mo Sen. He even said that if you can't seduce him, he'll let you get engaged to someone you don't like? Are you people from the rich and powerful families all so unreasonable? Didn't they look down on him from the start? If you ask me, Little Strawberry, you might as well come with me. Su Mei exclaimed after hearing Luo Mei's words. Yun Jian's eyes also darkened slightly. These were all tricks of the rich and powerful families. When they saw that Mo Sen had nothing, they couldn't wait to chase him away. Once they knew that Mo Sen was the leader of an Han, they ordered or threatened Luo Meiqi to seduce Mo Senator. If the seduction didn't work, fine, then you can just wait to get married to someone you don't like. Although Su Mei was a special forces soldier, she was an upright person. She had never thought that the rich and powerful families would be so complicated. Luo Meiqi was so frightened that she quickly covered Su Mei's mouth. Then, she looked at Yun Jian and then at Su Mei. She said very firmly, "I won't let them get what they want. They want to use his power to gain benefits for themselves. I won't let this happen. Even if I have to get engaged to someone I don't like, I won't harm him." Luo Meiqi said with a determined expression. She couldn't harm him. She couldn't let the Luo family use him. If that was the case, she would rather marry someone she didn't like. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows. When she heard Luo Meibei's words, she saw a slender figure walking over from behind Luo Meibei. Yun Jian purposely didn't say anything. Yun Jian waited for the slender figure to walk in front of Luo Meibei. Then, she grabbed Luo Meibei's wrist. Chapter 1733. Adam and Mo Sen were blood-related brothers, so they were somewhat similar. Perhaps Mo Sen was usually too calm, while Adam was someone with a particularly bad temper. But when they were angry, the two brothers were really printed from the same board. Mo Sen grabbed Luo Mei's wrist and spoke to her very seriously. This action scared Luo Mei so much that her expression changed. "Let go of me. You're hurting me." Luo Mei was frightened by Mo Sen's behavior. Mo Sen's dark face turned slightly. He lowered his eyes and didn't let go of Luo Mei's hand, but his grip was much lighter. "Sorry," Mo Sen apologized in a gentlemanly manner. Yun Jian blinked at Su Mei, and before Su Mei could react, she grabbed Su Mei's collar and dragged her out. Su Mei only reacted after leaving the scene for a while. Was Yun Jian trying to create an opportunity for Mo Sen and Luo Mei? Wow, so cool. Su Mei's reflexes were rather slow. It was only when she was dragged out by Yun Jian that she realized what had happened. Su Mei was already in her 20s, but she still had the heart of a young girl. Yun Jian smiled slightly. Just as she grinned, a large group of boys and girls rushed out from the surroundings. Looking closely, wasn't the leader Xiang Jie? Yun Jian only recognized a few of the surrounding boys and girls because they were following behind Xiang Jia. Just as Yun Jian blinked, Xiang Jia pointed at Yun Jian and said arrogantly, "Yun Jian, you made me lose face in front of them. Don't think that you're the young madam of the Inhun organization. I'll be afraid of you." "Humph, I brought everyone here today to teach you a lesson." Xiang Jia obviously didn't know what kind of existence the Inhun organization was, which was why she said such words. Yun Jian's red lips curved into a smile when she heard that. Xiang Jia was originally walking with Shi Qinshuan's group, but she didn't see Shi Qinshuan and the rest now. It wasn't hard to guess that Xiang Jia must have been mocked by Shi Qinshuan and the rest 3 days ago when she mocked Yun Jian. A rich young lady like Xiang Jia wanted to save some face. Plus, she didn't know what kind of organization the Inhun organization was, so she brought a group of people here to cause trouble. Xiang Jia didn't know Yun Jian's capabilities, so she shouted, "All of you, attack." Xiang Jia's words, Yun Jian suddenly narrowed her eyes. In the next second, before Xiang Jia and the rest of them could do anything, they fainted on the spot. Yun's eyes flashed sharp eyes, and then she fainted too. Su was really fainted. A while later, a large group of men in black came over and took Yun Jian and the others away without a sound. These girls are the daughters of wealthy merchants. Look at them, their skin is so soft and tender. Load them all up and take them away. The voice was crystal clear. Yun Jian didn't move. She didn't faint, but there was a slight change in her expression. She fainted just now because she wanted to see who the people who drugged them were. However, Yun Jian was sure now. Heh, what a joke. She really bumped into them. She had experienced this scene when she was 5 years old in her past life. She didn't expect assassin organizations to have such a huge appetite now. They even wanted to kidnap teenage girls. That was right. The men in black who drugged Yun Jian and the rest were from a small assassin organization. Most assassin organizations would kidnap girls around 5 or 6 years old and train them to become assassins from a young age. However, Yun Jian couldn't be mistaken. These men in black captured them to train them to become assassins. That was why Yun Jian thought they had such a huge appetite. They used to kidnap little girls, but now they wanted to kidnap teenage girls. Was there no one else in the world? Unfortunately, this group of people captured her. What a joke. Slaying God, the top international secret agent ranking, was captured. She was even sent to an assassin training camp. Chapter 1734. But from the looks of it, there were quite a lot of people who had been caught. Yun Jian was able to determine that they were currently being locked up in a large truck. There were quite a few teenage girls lying around her. There were also boys, but not many of them. The large truck was sealed off from all sides, leaving only a few air vents, so that the many unconscious boys and girls wouldn't suffocate to death. The voices of conversation just now were clearly coming from outside the large truck. The large truck was sealed off from all sides, so the voices were coming from outside the truck, but she could still hear them clearly. After a while, the voices outside the truck paused for a few seconds, and then another voice came out, "Hurry up. Go, go, go. If we don't leave now, we'll be discovered. Is the back door locked? This batch of goods is very important. They will be working for our organization in the future." People were described as goods in their mouths. After a while, the large truck started moving. No one was awake around her. Yun Jian silently stood up and walked to a plastic wall where she could vaguely see the outside. She squinted her eyes and used the dim light to look outside. The large truck was traveling on an extremely bumpy road that was rarely traveled. There was mud all around the road, and large pieces of rocks were piled up together. It was quite bumpy. Yun Jian sat in the large truck and could feel the bumpiness around her. She was surrounded by people who had fainted. She stood in place and couldn't move around, but her eyes flashed with a sharp luster. Of course she could escape. Even if she released the innocent boys and girls who were caught with her strength, it would be easy for her to do so. But Yun Jian wouldn't do that, because this assassin organization was too strange. Normally, assassin organizations trained professional assassins by kidnapping very young children for training. And once they entered the assassin organization, the chances of survival were less than 0.1%. So if there were children in the future, they must be careful of them. Once he lost it, he would be left with no one to respond to his cries for help. Yun Jian was puzzled by this point. Why would this assassin organization want to capture a teenage girl in her prime? Could it be that they wanted to brainwash them and train them into puppets? Therefore, she had to make this trip. Next, we have important news. In the Donglin city of the northern province, on the same day and at the same time, a total of 10 cases of boys and girls went missing. In the driver's seat of the big truck, the driver was driving. A simple and honest male voice came from the car radio. After hearing the important news, the driver guiltily turned off the radio. Yun Jian could hear the man sitting in the passenger seat next to the driver cursing in a low voice after turning off the radio. F***ck, hurry up and drive. Everything will be fine once we leave the territory. After a moment of silence, the driver said in a clumsy voice, the drugs should have worn off. What if they wake up? So what if he's awake? Don't bother about them. The back is locked. Even if they wake up, they can do whatever they want. The soundproofing of this truck is excellent. After that, the driver and the man in the front seat of the truck didn't say anything else. If it wasn't for Yun Jian's amazing hearing, she definitely wouldn't have heard the mutterings of the driver and the man sitting in the front seat of the truck. After about 15 minutes, the people around them woke up. Where is this? After looking around, the first girl to wake up screamed in fright. This scream woke the people around her up from their dizziness. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and pretended to wake up with the others. Where are we? Were we all kidnapped? Sob, 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 will we die? I want my mother, I want to go home. The light in the big truck wasn't enough. They could only vaguely feel the other party's presence. When the people reacted, a cry was extremely prominent. Chapter 1735. Xiang Jia was, after all, the daughter of a wealthy family. Just like Luo Mei, her family was extremely wealthy. She had grown up with gold in her mouth. Usually, she was so delicate that she did not even know how to do the housework herself. Although Luo Mei was also the daughter of a rich family, she wasn't favored in the Luo family. Hence, she lived a submissive life since she was young. She was afraid that she would say something wrong and be chased out of the family. Xiang Jia was a typical example of a rich young lady. Hence, when she woke up and looked around, she was so frightened that she started crying and screaming when she saw the dark scene. Open the door. Open the door. What is this place? A couple of boys had already regained their senses. They went to the back seat of the truck to break the door. However, the door was so tight that they couldn't break it open at all. Yun Jian sat in the corner and closed her eyes to rest. A large group of girls around her were sobbing non-stop. Not only Xiang Jia, but the group of people she brought with her were also caught. The truck was huge and there were many boys and girls in it that Yun Jian didn't know. Yun Jian's night vision was very good. She could clearly see the faces of every boy and girl in the dark space of the truck. Not many boys were crying, but most of the people who were caught were girls. After confirming that it was a kidnapping, they were all frightened and started crying non-stop. Su Mei was the last to wake up. When she woke up, she was only shocked but didn't say anything. Su Mei was only in her 20s. The people who caught them probably didn't expect that Su Mei was a special forces soldier. At this moment, Yun Jian understood Su Mei's silence very well. She was conserving her energy. Soon, they would be involved in a fierce battle. Boo-hoo. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. Mommy. I miss Mommy. I want to go home. It's so scary here. It's so dark. Boo-hoo. Half an hour later, the surrounding girls' throats were hoarse from crying. Xiang Jia was still screaming. Yun Jian closed her eyes and kept quiet for a long time. Xiang Jia was still screaming and crying 45 minutes after the group of people woke up. Shut up if you don't want to be the first to die. Yun Jian's sudden shout made Xiang Jia, who was still in a state of fear and panic, immediately shut her mouth. It finally quieted down. Yun Jian closed her eyes again. But just as she closed her eyes, Xiang Jia suddenly heard Yun Jian's voice. She grasped Yun Jian's position and pounced on Yun Jian. It's you. Yun Jian, it's you. It's all your fault. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. Go to hell. Die, die. Xiang Jia screamed madly. She couldn't see where Yun Jian was, but she rushed forward and stepped on several innocent people. Then, she pounced on Yun Jian. However, just as Xiang Jia was about to pounce on Yun Jian, who could sense the source of the sound in the dark, knocked Xiang Jia out with a backhand chop. There was some light coming in from the surroundings. The surrounding boys and girls were shocked when they saw Yun Jian's dexterity. It's noisy. Yun Jian frowned. She directly put the unconscious Xiang Jia aside and closed her eyes again to recuperate. The surrounding boys and girls all sucked in a breath of air, and it was obvious that they were all silent. After a while, the boy who failed to break down the door with his men just now walked near Yun Jian. With the help of the light coming in from the outside, the boy tried to calm himself down. He looked at Yun Jian, who had closed her eyes, and asked softly, "Hello, Yun Jian. My name is Ma Yichen. I see that you're not flustered at all. Well, I want to ask you if you know our current situation." After the boy who called himself Ma Yichen and his friends fainted, they woke up in this truck inexplicably. Of course, he was also afraid, but as a man, he just didn't want to show his fear. "Brother Yichen, what's the use of asking her? She's not a god. How can she know? I think she can't even protect herself. She's still pretending to be noble and not afraid at all. Brother Yichen, I won't let you be a good person today. So what if that group of people kidnapped us?" "Humph, Brother Yichen, you know Taekwondo, Wushu, and Judo. Are you afraid of them?" A rather confident female voice came from the surroundings. There was a hint of flaunting in her words. Yun Jian opened her eyes. Don't talk nonsense." Ma Yichen quickly stopped the girl. The girl's name was Hu Yiru. When she heard this, Hu Yiru was still unconvinced. She was about to continue speaking when Yun Jian's cold words made everyone panic. Chapter 1736. Welcome to the world of killers. Yun Jian's words aroused fear in the hearts of the people present. "What do you mean by the world of killers? What are you talking about?" After Yun Jian's words fell, there were immediately frightened exclamations from the surroundings. What was she talking about? What world of killers? They were kidnapped now, not playing a game. For some reason, Ma Yichen and the two boys standing next to him felt a surge of hot blood in their hearts when they heard Yun Jian's words, even though they did not know what Yun Jian meant. What she said just now made their hearts boil. "It seems that you know where we are. Then, can you please tell us what's the situation we're in now? Did someone kidnap us or?" After a moment of excitement, Ma Yichen looked at Yun Jian and pleaded with Yun Jian to tell him. He was suddenly drugged, and when he woke up, he was loaded onto an airtight big truck, and was transported to an unknown place without any help, no matter how much he screamed. Not to mention those girls who cried at the beginning, even Ma Yichen himself was flustered. However, as a boy, he had to be strong. Could he be like the girls present, clenching his fists and wiping his tears with the corners of his eyes? This was simply an impractical thing. Ma Yichen's anxious question did not get a reply from Yun Jian. At this moment, Yun Jian had closed her eyes. Finally, it was quiet for a while. After a while, Hu Yiru, the girl who looked down on Yun Jian just now, began to grumble again. Brother Yichen, look at her behavior. Humph. She clearly doesn't know anything and is still pretending. Wasn't the girl who was knocked unconscious by her just now scared? It's normal for girls to cry when they are scared. What about her? She actually said, "Shut up if you don't want to be the first to die," as if she is very powerful. Pfft, who does she think she is? So powerful. After Hu Yiru said this, the noisy space suddenly fell silent. Hu Yiru swallowed her saliva. Noticing the sudden silence around her, she turned to Yun Jian and added, "My brother Yichen is so powerful, but he's not as arrogant as you. Shut up, all of you. We don't even know where we're going later. We've been arguing for almost an hour, and we don't even have the strength to speak. Other than being slaughtered, what else do you want?" The moment Hu Yiru finished speaking, Su Mei, who had been silent all this while, could not help but speak up. Yun Jian's reply was brief because she didn't want to use all her energy to talk. Su Mei couldn't help but open her mouth. These people were too noisy. After Su Mei finished speaking, Hu Yiru paused. She had nothing to say. Just now, Yun Jian asked you to shut up because she wanted you to conserve your energy. Otherwise, you won't even have the strength to fight back. We don't have anything to eat or drink right now. What's the use of crying and talking all the time? Other than exhausting your energy, do you think you can go back if you cry and talk? If you don't want to die, then shut up quickly. We don't know what will happen later. No one will be able to save you here. Alright, I won't say any more. Help yourselves. Su Mei heard the crowd's criticism of Yun Jian. In the end, she couldn't help but stand up for Yun Jian. After hearing her words, the attitude of those who didn't have a good impression of Yun Jian instantly changed. Perhaps it was because Su Mei was older and gave people the impression that she was rather mature, so the crowd really listened to her and stopped talking. Silence returned to the car in an instant. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows and closed her eyes. Chapter 1737. The big truck drove for at least 10 hours before it finally left Country Z. Then, it kept driving, heading to a place unknown to the girls. Yun Jian could feel the trajectory of the car. She remained silent, but looked at the scene outside through the small gap in the plastic wall. Will we be sold? After a long time, a young girl hiding in the corner spoke up. After being silent for so long, they were hungry and thirsty. In addition, the girls had cried until they had no strength left. At this time, they were all dizzy and did not even have the strength to raise their hands. Yun Jian and Su Mei had only said a few words, so they were full of energy now. Then, will we be sold off to some old bachelor in the countryside as wives or something like that, just like in the movies? I don't want to. I'd rather die than be sold. As soon as the girl finished speaking, the other girls were so scared that their faces turned pale. Their minds immediately filled with many images, and they were so scared that their bodies kept twitching. In 1999, there were many movies where rural women or children were abducted and sold. The main purpose was to remind everyone to be on guard. There were many good people in this world, but there were also bad people. As mothers, they had to keep an eye on their children at all times. As children, they should not run around casually or leave their mother's line of sight. In times of crisis, as long as someone said something scary, someone would immediately fill in an even scarier image. In the end, everyone was scared together. This was not uncommon. When the girl spoke, the surrounding people's faces changed. Just imagining an old bachelor in the countryside who had not bathed for a few years pouncing on her, that image, ah. No. I don't want to. I want to go home. Brother Ichen, you must protect me. The more Hu Yiru thought about it, the more scared she became. In the end, she was so scared that she threw herself on Ma Yichen. Ma Yichen reached out and placed his hand on Hu Yiru's back to comfort her, but he did not say anything. After a while, it quieted down again. After about 10 hours of driving, the big truck finally stopped. The car did not stop. Although the people present were starving, they were afraid of what would happen in the future. However, they did not feel extreme fear. At this moment, the car stopped. This meant that the future that everyone feared would happen had arrived. What? What should I do? Woo, I will never come out alone in the future. God, I was wrong, please save me. A young girl's mosquito-like cry for help came from the corner. But there was nothing he could do. 5 hours ago, Xiang Jia had already woken up. After waking up, Xiang Jia did not cause any trouble for Yun Jian. Xiang Jia's friend repeated Su Mei's words to Xiang Jia. After hearing this, Xiang Jia felt that she should conserve her energy. She was going to kill Yun Jian sooner or later. This slut. Do you know who you are? Wasn't she just the young madam of the Inhun organization? What's so great about that? Bang! Just as everyone's thoughts drifted away, the back door of the big truck was opened. Perhaps it was because they had not seen the light for a long time. The moment the back door of the big truck was opened, everyone present squinted their eyes. It was already 10 minutes into the evening. Since they were caught in the morning, the truck had been on the road for 10 hours. The sun was about to set. It was obvious that they had been transported out of the country. Yun Jian also squinted her eyes slightly. When everyone saw a row of people holding all kinds of machine guns, pistols, and other weapons, their faces turned green with fear. Guns! Guns! Those are guns! The girls began to scream in fear again. Standing in front of them was a group of men dressed like foreigners. Hearing the screams of the girls, the man standing at the front cursed in a low voice. He lifted the machine gun and was about to shoot at them, but he was stopped by the man beside him. The man beside him was dressed very formally, but his looks were average. After the man stopped the machine gun, he turned to look at the girls. Finally, he spoke to them in Chinese. Chapter 1738. Soul Devourer Organization. Yun Jian's eyebrows, which had just calmed down, rose slightly again. Soul Devourer Organization. The name of this organization was similar to an Han organization's title for a moment. Yun Jian could not help but raise her eyebrows even more. Was he trying to use a similar title to an Han organization to attract assassins from all walks of life to join Soul Devourer, or was he delusional to think that he could stand shoulder to shoulder with an Han organization one day? Yun Jian did not think too much about it. The group of people had already stood on the ground from the big truck. Soul Devourer Organization? Where is this place? I want to go home. I want to go home. Seeing that the foreign man could speak Chinese, a girl shook her head and screamed. She was so scared that her face turned green. Our Soul Devourer organization is naturally an assassin organization, and this place is obviously the assassin training base of our organization. The foreign man, who was standing at the front, explained to the crowd in fluent Chinese. After that, the foreign man bowed to the crowd and continued speaking in a very gentlemanly manner. And you are very honored to be trained as assassins of our Soul Devourer organization. My name is Jean. You can call me Jean. Coach. Okay, I like this title very much. As soon as Jean finished speaking, the girl, who had been hiding in the corner, saw that Jean was elegant and gentlemanly. She immediately begged for mercy. "My mother is still waiting for me at home. Please let me go. You can catch them. You can do whatever you want with them. Just let me go, okay? I'll go back by myself. I promise I won't tell anyone about what happened here." The girl selfishly pointed at Yun Jian and the rest and ran back after she finished speaking. Everyone was shocked. Who would have thought that the girl, who was still quite gentlemanly just now, would raise the pistol in her hand and shoot the girl who was trying to escape without giving the crowd any time to react? Blood splattered everywhere. Jean did not realize that he had just killed someone. He was still looking at the crowd with a smile on his face, looking as gentlemanly as ever. "Do you like this gift?" Ah. 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 That girl was dead. She was dead. Only then did everyone realize where they were. Panic and fear spread through their bodies. Whether it was Xiang Jia or Hu Yiru, who had previously disliked Yun Jian, they were so frightened that their faces changed. Even Su Mei, a member of the Special Forces, had a dark expression on her face. At this moment, Yun Jian's words suddenly flashed across everyone's mind. "Welcome to the world of assassins." The world of assassins. She was right. This was really the world of assassins. After killing the girl who was trying to escape, there was no change in his expression at all. It was as if he had just stepped on an ant. It made people's hair stand on end. "Alright, baby, don't struggle anymore. Be obedient and you'll be rewarded in the future." He threw the gun in his hand to his subordinate, then took out a white handkerchief from his trouser pocket and gently wiped his palm and the back of his hand. None of the people present would be able to imagine the ghastly and fearful feeling in this situation unless they personally experienced it. Xiang Jia was so scared that she didn't dare to make a sound, but she covered her mouth with all her might. She was so scared that her whole body was trembling, and she couldn't even stand straight. Ma Yichen was so scared that his face turned pale. At this time, he was really scared. As for Hu Yiru, who was very proud of her brother Yichen's taekwondo, judo, and sanda skills, her expression could no longer be described as horrified. They were all holding guns in their hands. They were guns. How could she deal with her so-called brother Yichen? Just when everyone present was so frightened that they were trembling all over and squatting on the ground one by one, they were so scared that they couldn't stand straight, a girl's voice suddenly sounded arrogantly. Unknowingly, Yun Jian was already standing in front of Jean. She looked indifferent and looked at Jean and his men without any fear. She spoke in a commanding tone. Chapter 1739. When the girl realized what kind of place this was, she was so scared that she turned around and ran away. However, she was shot dead by Xian, and her blood splattered on the spot. This scene made everyone present turn pale with fright. The first impression Xian gave was that of a gentleman, and it was the same now. However, when the girl tried to escape, he smiled and killed her with one shot as if he was stepping on an ant. What did the girl do wrong? She did nothing wrong. She was just scared and wanted to leave. What about this group of people? They didn't even give her a chance to explain and killed her directly. Xiang Jia, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, and all the young boys and girls present were so scared that they trembled uncontrollably. This was not a place for humans at all. People could die in this place. This was hell. Hell. However, just when everyone was scared, terrified, and trembling to the extreme, a loud female voice suddenly sounded. Yun Jian's voice spread to every corner of the place. Her brash, arrogant, and fearless voice made everyone present tremble. When they reacted, whether it was Xiang Jia, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, or the others, they were all dumbfounded. Was Yun Jian crazy? She actually talked to Xian, who killed a girl without batting an eyelid just now. Did she want to die? I'll give you 1 minute to get the leader of your spirit devourer to come out and see me. How could she say such words? Just now, the girl was killed just because she wanted to escape. By saying this, Yun Jian wanted to kill everyone present. Xiang Jiayi's expression changed at the speed of light. Xiang Jiayi originally had a problem with Yun Jian. When Yun Jian said this, Xiang Jiayi didn't even wait for Xian to react and pointed at Yun Jian first. She's crazy. This has nothing to do with us. If you want to kill someone, kill her. Kill her. As Xiang Jiayi spoke, she shrank into the crowd. Come back quickly. Hearing Yun Jian's words, Ma Yichen lowered his voice and kindly called out to Yun Jian, asking her to come back quickly. When Hu Yiru, who was standing next to Ma Yichen, heard his words, she quickly tugged at the corner of his clothes and whispered to him. Brother Yichen, you're crazy. Whether she lives or dies is none of our business. Let her die. Just let her die. Just don't implicate us. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and looked coldly at Xian, who was standing in front of her. The coldness of the god of slaughter emanating from her eyes made Xian feel terrified for no reason. He couldn't help looking at Yun Jian again. His intuition told him that this young lady was not to be trifled with. They were definitely not in cahoots with this group of abducted boys and girls. Xian suddenly grinned at Yun Jian. Then, under the creepy gaze of a large group of people in front of him, he pointed at one of his men and said to Yun Jian, Young lady, you're very brave. Look. This is my right-hand man, 025. If you kill 025, then you will take his place. Survive. As for them. Xian glanced sideways at Xiang Jiayi, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, Su Mei, and the others, and continued, as long as you kill 025, you can survive. Kill all of them. After that, a large group of men behind Xian pointed their machine guns at Xiang Jiayi, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, Su Mei, and the others. 025 was Xian's right-hand man. In the killer training camp, except for those with high status, everyone was called by a number once they entered. If Yun Jian, Xiang Jiayi, and the others were to mingle in the killer training camp, only one could survive in the end. This was an unchanging law since ancient times. Therefore, as soon as Xian spoke, Xiang Jiayi and the others were so scared that they retreated to the corner and dared not move. Yun Jian. How dare you? You. Xiang Jiayi was afraid that Yun Jian would do it. However, just as Xiang Jiayi said this, Yun Jian continued to speak. She looked at Xian and pointed at 025, You want me to kill him? Yes, kill him, and his position will be yours. Xian continued to induce Yun Jian. Yun Jian was definitely a good seedling. Xian wanted to take Yun Jian for his own use. Obviously, Xian thought that Yun Jian was braver than ordinary people because of what she said before. In the killer world, if you were strong, you could take the other person's position if you killed him. Xiang Jiayi, Ma Yichen, and the others gradually began to realize what the killer world was. It was an inhumane place. Just as Xiang Jiayi and Ma Yichen were afraid that Yun Jian would really do as Xian said, Yun Jian's words suddenly sounded and reached everyone's ears. I don't care about his position. It's better to kill you than him. I'll kill you first, take your position, and then kill the head of your Soul Eater organization. After Yun Jian finished speaking, her figure flashed and she walked quickly to where Xian was. Chapter 1740. What Yun Jian had said was enough to shock everyone present, and it was enough for Xian to kill her. Not only did Xian not kill her, but what puzzled Xiang Jiayi, Hu Yiru, and the others was that Xian actually gave Yun Jian a chance. He let her kill his right-hand man 025, so that the position of 025 would be given to Yun Jian. This was far beyond what everyone present could bear. The girl just wanted to escape, but she was mercilessly shot dead by Xian. Now, Yun Jian was directly pointing at Xian's nose and asking the leader of the Soul Devourer to come out. And Xian actually gave Yun Jian a chance. But what surprised everyone present was that Yun Jian did not want such a great opportunity. What she wanted was Xian's position. No. She wanted to destroy the Soul Devourer. The Soul Devourer. This was an assassin organization. And Yun Jian wanted to destroy an assassin organization. Did she know what she was doing? Just as everyone sucked in a sharp breath, Yun Jian, who was right in front of them, was already sprinting toward Xian Jin. Xian did not expect Yun Jian to want to kill him. His face suddenly changed, and he wanted to dodge Yun Jian's fatal blow in an instant. So fast. This young girl. Her movements are so fast. Is she originally a professional assassin? Her speed is so fast that I can't even see it with my naked eyes. A boy exclaimed in disbelief. He was dumbfounded, and his mouth was wide open, unable to close for a long time. Oh my God! Look! Just as the boy's mouth was wide open, and he was so shocked that words could not describe it, a voice louder than the boy's came out. Right after that, everyone turned to look at Yun Jian. Perhaps it was because the boy who spoke last spoke louder than the rest. Yun Jian flashed by like a phantom, and at this time, Xian's pupils shrank. Xian was not for show. The moment Yun Jian flew towards him, he instantly dodged Yun Jian's powerful blow. Just as Xian was about to dodge Yun Jian's powerful blow, something happened that made everyone present go crazy. They saw that Yun Jian's trajectory, which was still attacking Xian, suddenly reversed. She seemed to be able to predict the future and knew how Xian would avoid her technique. In the next moment, she opened the 5 fingers of her left hand, and a bright butterfly knife immediately appeared in her hand. She stabbed the knife into the center of Xian's heart. Xian had already blocked Yun Jian's first move, but unexpectedly, Yun Jian saw through his move. The butterfly knife left a lightning-like afterimage in front of everyone present, and stabbed directly into Xian's heart. The knife stabbed into the center of Xian's heart. The knife fell, and the knife was pulled out. After Yun Jian stabbed the butterfly knife into Xian's heart, she directly pulled it out of Xian's heart in the next second. Xian's eyes widened. He even had no time to react before he died on the spot. She killed someone. She killed someone. Xiang Jiayi's initial disdain toward Yun Jian was replaced by shock at the speed of light when she saw the bloody butterfly knife in Yun Jian's hand. Xiang Jiayi was so scared that her lips turned pale. She seems to belong to the god of killing who lives in such a world. At this time, Ma Yichen looked at Yun Jian blankly and said this involuntarily. As soon as he said this, the group of men who had followed Xian with machine guns turned their heads and left one after another. Seeing that their kidnappers had left, Ma Yichen and the rest were terrified of Yun Jian's actions, but they were elated that they could finally leave this godforsaken place. However, just when they relaxed their tense emotions, Yun Jian shook the butterfly knife in her hand, which had just been wiped with paper, and sneered at the corner. Chapter 1741. As soon as Yun Jian finished her words, Xiang Jiayi, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, and Su Mei were obviously stunned. Yun Jian's words meant, who was hiding in the dark? Who was hiding in the dark? Su Mei knew Yun Jian's strength, so she did not say anything just now. She did not want to implicate Yun Jian. Now that Zhen's men had all run away, Su Mei finally spoke up. Yun Jian did not reply to Su Mei. She blinked her eyes up and down, and her long and narrow eyelashes fluttered. It was a beautiful sight. Didn't you just kill a person? What's so smug about it? Hu Yiru was very dissatisfied with Ma Yichen's evaluation of Yun Jian. Even though she had seen such a terrifying side of Yunjian, she still scolded Yunjian coldly. However, Hu Yiru spoke to Yunjian with the mentality that Yunjian would never do anything to her. Yunjian did kill Zhen, but did she dare to kill her? Did she dare? However, Hu Yiru only dared to mutter these words in her heart and did not dare to say them out loud. Hu Yiru. Stop fooling around. As soon as Hu Yiru finished speaking, Ma Yichen suddenly stopped her with her full name and did not let her continue talking nonsense. Brother Yichen, who are you helping? That's how it is. She. Hu Yiru thought that Yunjian was pretending to be a ghost. There was clearly no one hiding in the dark, but Yunjian still had to pretend that there was someone hiding in the dark. However, just as Hu Yiru said this, a strange male voice suddenly came from the dark. There was a trace of indescribable gloominess in the voice. This little girl is so capable. She actually killed the most powerful assassin of our spirit devourer's leader, Zhen. He. After this strange voice came out, a man wearing a black and gray robe walked out from the dark. He had a high nose bridge and a face that looked like a woman's, but the voice that came out of his mouth was that of a foreign man. Although this foreign man looked a little like a woman, as long as one was not blind, one could still tell his gender at a glance. The foreign man spoke extremely fluent Chinese. Coupled with his strange tone of voice, everyone present had a moment of panic. There was really someone hiding in the dark. Who was this foreign man who suddenly appeared? Your purpose. This foreign man had been standing in the dark and watching the situation here for a long time. Yunjian had sensed his presence long ago, but she did not say it before. Now that they were in front of everyone, Yunjian did not beat around the bush with the foreign man. She looked at him and said it nonchalantly. The foreign man was slightly stunned. When he came to his senses, he pulled his lips and broke into an imperceptible smile. The foreign man immediately restrained his strange voice and returned to his normal tone. He looked at Yunjian and said with a smile, I like to talk to smart little girls. He. The foreign man stopped laughing and looked at Yunjian sideways. He pursed his lips and said softly, My name is Neil. I'm a senior assassin of the Spirit Devourer. When I saw you kill Zhen, your movements were clean and neat. You're even more powerful than our leader of the Spirit Devourer. So I ask you to cooperate with me. We'll attack from both sides and kill the leader of the Spirit Devourer. As long as you agree, I'll send everyone here home safely. What do you think? When Neil spoke, his ambition was exposed. He was just a small senior assassin of the Spirit Devourer. His strength was clearly more powerful than Zhen. Why did the leader of the Spirit Devourer not pay attention to him? The leader of the Spirit Devourer was just a woman. Her strength was not much stronger than Zhen. He and Neil were not convinced. So, he wanted to work with Yunjian to kill the leader of the Spirit Devourer. So, what about the benefits you're going to give me? Yunjian narrowed her eyes and replied indifferently. Neil originally thought that Yunjian, this little girl, would thank God for sending everyone home safely. However, he did not expect Yunjian to be unsatisfied. His face darkened and he asked, Then what do you want? I want half of the Spirit Devourer's forces to belong to me. Yunjian's words made Neil's pupils shrink slightly. Chapter 1742. When the students standing around heard Yunjian's words, they were all stunned. Yunjian actually wanted the Soul Devourer's power. What did she want the Soul Devourer's power for? Jinier was also completely stunned. Jinier was stunned because Yunjian's appetite was too big. Usually, when a girl of Yunjian's age was captured and sent here, she would be thankful as long as she could be sent back safely. However, Yunjian actually wanted half of the Soul Devourer's power. In fact, Jinier did not know that Yunjian usually did not want half of the organization's power, but the entire organization. Usually, when Yun Jian took a liking to someone, she would poach the person and the organization under her name. Now, she wanted half of the Soul Devourer's power for two reasons. First, she did not like Jinier. Jinier was too murderous. If she took him under her wing, there was a 99.9% chance that he would betray her. Second, the Soul Devourer had unspeakable secrets. These secrets would lead to a massacre. If she, Yun Jian, wanted half of the organization's power, if there was a crisis in the future, the first one to suffer would not be her, but Jinier. Yun Jian was not the kind of person who would take people under her wing just because they had strength. It also depended on the other party's character and whether they would betray her. Of course, you can also reject me and continue to be a high-level assassin, Yun Jian said. When Jinier heard Yun Jian's words, his dark eyes suddenly flashed, as if there was a strange and sinister luster. Okay. As long as you help me get the Soul Devourer, I'll give you half of the organization's power. Jinier agreed immediately. Giving it to you doesn't mean that you can't get it back. You're just a young girl, yet you want to get half of the Soul Devourer's power. You must be dreaming. Jinier originally planned to send Yun Jian and her group away casually. Now, he wanted to kill Yun Jian and her group. Deal. Yun Jian clearly saw the sinister flash in Jinier's eyes. She pretended that she did not see anything and smiled faintly. In order to prevent Yun Jian from not cooperating, Neil asked Su Mei, Xiang Jia, Mai Chen, and everyone else present to follow him to the residence of the leader of the Spirit Devourer. What Jinier didn't know was that using Xiang Jia to threaten Yun Jian was completely useless. In the hall of the residence of the Soul Devourer's leader. Shenji, get out here. Give up your identity as the leader of the Soul Devourer and I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Ha ha ha. As soon as he entered the residence of the leader of the Soul Devourer, he began to make a big fuss. Yun Jian's eyelids twitched when she heard Neil address the leader of the Soul Devourer as such. Just as Neil finished speaking, a woman in her 20s with a voluptuous figure and an enchanting charm walked in from the side. The moment Yun Jian saw the girl, her lips curved into a smile. To think that he would run into an acquaintance here. That's right, Shenji was her old acquaintance. Among the thousands of people who had been trained as assassins in the same batch as Yun Jian, only 3 of them had left an Han group alive. Yun Jian was the only one among the 3 who had completely escaped an Han group's control. As for the other 2, one of them was Mad Dragon, who had been poached by Yun Jian from an Han group to join the Kosha mercenaries. The other person who had left an Han group alive with Yun Jian and Mad Dragon was Shenji. Back in an Han group, Shenji had done everything he could to surpass her and defeat her. However, she, slain God, would not allow anyone to challenge her authority. Shenji had always been brooding over this and had vowed to surpass her in terms of ability in this lifetime. At this moment, Shenji's gaze swept across the room. He fixed his gaze on Yun Jian before turning to look at Neil. He sneered, the position of the leader of the Soul Devourer can't be snatched away by you and this brat who came out of nowhere. Shenji's words were so intimidating that Xiang Jia and the others felt their hearts skip a beat. They looked a little frightened. However, just as everyone was panicking, thinking that even if Yun Jian killed Shenji, she would not be able to defeat this domineering Shenji. An even more intimidating and arrogant statement that caused everyone to tremble in fear continued to ring out. Chapter 1743. Shenji was a very competitive woman. Apart from that, she was also very ambitious. Like Mad Dragon, Shenji was an agent of the Inhun organization. Out of the thousands of people who had been trained by the Inhun organization with Yun Jian, only 3 had survived. Yun Jian was without a doubt the strongest of them all. Shenji and Mad Dragon were on par with each other. Of the 3, the only one who had escaped the Inhun organization's control was Yun Jian. Shenji was still under the control of the Inhun organization. When Yun Jian first heard about the Soul Eater organization, she thought it was similar to the Inhun organization. Now she understood that the Soul Eater organization was Shenji's outside force. It was just like how Yun Jian had taken over the Kosha mercenaries when she was still in the Inhun organization, becoming the boss of the Kosha mercenaries. The Soul Eater organization was Shenji's own force. At the same time, one could feel Shenji's naked ambition from the similarity between the Soul Eater organization and the Inhun organization. Shenji's actions didn't count as betraying the Inhun organization. When Yun Jian had been in the Inhun organization, she had also been secretly expanding her own force. But when Yun Jian said this, Shenji's expression changed. Shenji raised her eyes and looked sharply at Yun Jian. Her pupils constricted. What did this little girl just say? Shenji had only heard Yun Jian's arrogant words from one person before. Who the hell are you? Shenji's eyes narrowed. She looked at Yun Jian, her expression changing rapidly. Shenji wasn't a weakling. She had been able to come out of the Inhun organization alive. She wasn't simple at all. In spite of it, Shenji had only heard Yun Jian's arrogant words from the person he was the most unyielding and most fearful of in his life. When Neil saw Shenji's reaction, he was even more shocked. Yun Jian could actually make Shenji, who usually didn't show her emotions on her face, so shocked. Who the hell was she? Xiang Jie, Ma Yichen, and Hu Yiru, who were standing around, were dumbfounded. Yun Jian, do you know her? Ma Yichen asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Did Yun Jian know Shenji? Brother Yichen, can't you tell? She was just pretending. He was the leader of the Soul Devourer. Who does she think she is? Don't you know what shame is? When Hu Yiru saw Ma Yichen looking at Yun Jian in horror, she was upset again. Thus, she followed up with Ma Yichen's words. Exactly. Ever since we were on the truck, she had been pretending to be a ghost. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that she was really powerful and even knocked me out. He's really thick-skinned. How shameless. After Hu Yiru finished speaking, Xiang Jie, who had always been unhappy with Yun Jian, spoke up. At this moment, Xiang Jie and Hu Yiru reached a consensus to attack Yun Jian verbally. That's right. She should take a look at herself. Ha! Hu Yiru heard Xiang Jie's words and followed up. Just as she finished speaking, everyone saw Yun Jian look straight into Shenji's eyes without fear. She ignored Xiang Jie and Hu Yiru's words and replied to Shenji with a cold smile, "We've been in the Inhun group for more than 10 years. You've tried to assassinate me 309 times in front of me and 109 times behind my back. Every time, you've lost and left in a sorry state. Shenji, you actually didn't recognize me?" There was a slight sneer in Yun Jian's words, but everyone heard them clearly. Shenji's pupils constricted at the speed everyone could see clearly. She then confirmed Yun Jian's identity right in front of Xiang Jie, Hu Yiru, Ma Yichen, and everyone else. She exclaimed at Yun Jian, you're the one who saved me. Chapter 1744. You're 006. Shenji exclaimed to Yun Jian in front of everyone. Everyone was stunned at the sight. Yun Jian, who stood in front of Shenji, raised the red arc with a smirk and spoke to Shenji coldly. Do you remember when you lost to me for the 409th time and yelled at me, "I'll remember you even if you turn into ashes"? 095, I didn't think that you wouldn't recognize me after such a short time. When Yun Jian and Shenji were in Inhun, they'd always referred to each other by their numbers. Because in Inhun, everyone only had a number, not a code name. So when Yun Jian and Shenji met, the words they used the most were their numbers. 095 was Shenji's number back then. Yun Jian had an indescribable feeling towards Shenji. This feeling was different from the hatred she felt towards her enemies, and also different from the protection she felt towards her own people. Or to put it another way, in Yunjian and Shenji's subconscious, they'd already turned each other from mortal enemies to rivals. In the early years, the children who were caught and sent to an Han organization were all in a state of killing each other. But later on, only a few of them survived. And there were only one or two outstanding people. Without a doubt, Yunjian and Shenji were the most outstanding of their batch of children. In that inhumane world back then, the reason why Yunjian and Shenji were more outstanding and powerful than the others was because they saw each other as rivals. They wanted nothing more than to surpass each other, or to stand at a position where no one could touch them. If a person could meet a rival, that was without a doubt a very lucky thing. Because when you see someone who's as strong as you as a rival, you'll do your best to climb up. When you reach the highest point, you'll look back and realize that you're already standing at a position where ordinary people can never touch you. Yunjian and Shenji had been like this back in Han, encouraging each other. But neither of them would reveal this relationship. Therefore, even though Yunjian and Shenji were women, they were able to trample over the so-called stronger men and become one of the 3 people who walked out of Han alive. This was why Yunjian had revealed her identity to Shenji as soon as she saw him. Yunjian and Shenji's conversation attracted everyone's attention. This was especially true for Xiangjie and Hu Yiru. Just now, the two of them had criticized Yunjian for being so pretentious. Now, their expressions were extremely ugly. Xiangjie knew that Yunjian was a guest at Luo Berry's house. Although she knew that Yunjian was the young madam of an Han group, she didn't know what an Han group was and didn't think that Yunjian was very powerful. Wasn't she just a fence-sitter who relied on men to get to the top? But hearing Yunjian and Shenji's conversation, Xiangjie was stunned. She stared at Yunjian and Shenji and exclaimed, "Do you really know each other? I thought we didn't know each other just now. Didn't Shenji not know Yunjian just now? How was this possible?" Yunjian really did know the leader of the Soul Devourer group. Naturally, no one paid any attention to Xiangjie's exclamation. Shenji didn't see Xiangjie as a person at all. After acknowledging Yunjian, Shenji studied Yunjian from head to toe. Then, he clicked his tongue and continued. "You've changed your face and you're blaming me for not recognizing you. 006, our grudge will never end in this lifetime." The grudge Shenji was referring to was the oath Shenji had made before that he would defeat Yunjian one day. "I'll be waiting." Yunjian's lips curled into a faint smile. Then, she glanced at Shenji indifferently. "What are you going to do by raising a puppet?" Raising a puppet? Yunjian had just met Shenji, hadn't she? How did she know that Shenji was going to raise a puppet? Was she just making things up? Everyone in the distance was shocked again. They didn't know that Yunjian had already guessed it. Someone is buying puppets. One puppet can be sold for $1 million USD. Shenji walked over to a bench and sat down. He looked at Yunjian calmly. "You have 50 million USD for every mission. Do you really need that much money?" Yunjian stood where she was lazily and chatted with Shenji about mundane matters in front of the dumbfounded crowd. Everyone was flabbergasted by what she did. But what made Xiangjie, Hu Yiru, and the others even more flabbergasted was what Shenji said next. When Shenji heard Yunjian's words, he immediately stood up from his seat. In front of everyone, he glared at Yunjian. Chapter 1745. All professional assassins and agents had a price tag when they went on missions. Also, assassins and agents usually made deals through the assassin website. Yunjian had logged into the assassin website before. Every assassin or agent had their own account on the official assassin website. Usually, when they accepted missions, they would do business on this special agent killer website. Yunjian and Shenji used to be assassins from Han. After they debuted, they had their own accounts on the assassin website. Their account names were their code names. The website would also evaluate the starting price of their missions based on their abilities and achievements. When Yun Jian and Shen Ji were first evaluated on the Assassin website, their starting price was the same. But as the number of missions and success rates increased, the difference gradually widened. Now, Yun Jian's starting price for a mission had been raised to 100 million USD, while Shen Ji's starting price had been raised to 50 million USD. This starting price was the official price given by the website after evaluating an assassin or agent. Shen Ji wasn't weak. She might not be as strong as Yun Jian, but she was only slightly weaker than Yun Jian. But the official price given by the assassin website for Yun Jian was 2 times higher than Shen Ji's. This was why Shen Ji wasn't convinced. Yun Jian and Shen Ji's conversation was very normal. To Yun Jian and Shen Ji, their conversation was as normal as eating and sleeping. But in the ears of the surrounding people, they were so scared that their souls almost fell out. When Yun Jian said that Shen Ji's starting price for a mission was 50 million USD, Xiang Jiai, Hu Yiru, and Ma Yichen's jaws almost dropped. What kind of mission is this? 50 million USD? 50 million USD. If converted to RMB, wouldn't that be 300 million? 300 million. As long as Shen Ji went out on a mission, he would be richer than even Xiang Jiai, who had been pampered since she was young, put all her money together. This series of words had already frightened Xiang Jiai and the others so much that their faces turned pale. But what was worse was that Shen Ji said that Yun Jian could earn 100 million USD for a mission. That would be 600 million yuan if converted to RMB. Could it be that Yun Jian was also an assassin or a secret agent? She was actually so rich. Ma Yichen and Su Mei were startled by Shen Ji's revelation of Yun Jian's status. However, Xiang Jiai was shocked. It was purely because she had previously mocked Yun Jian for being a woman who relied on men to get to where she was and was not worthy of being the young madam of the Inhun organization. But now that she thought about it, Yun Jian's wealth was beyond Xiang Jiai's imagination. Xiang Jiai was really stunned. She stood rooted to the ground, unable to recover from the shock. 100 million USD. If converted to RMB, it would be 600 million. Is this for real? She actually. The last person to shout was Hu Yiru. Hu Yiru's eyes widened. She stared at Shen Ji and asked the question that terrified her. How is this possible? She was just an ordinary girl who only knew how to put on an act every day. She had no ability at all. That's all she was. Hu Yiru didn't believe it. She stared at Shen Ji, almost suspecting that Shen Ji was cooperating with Yun Jian to deceive her. Whether it was Hu Yiru, Xiang Jiai, or Ma Yichen, they were all high school students in their teens. Usually, they would gather together and brag about some powerful person they knew. That was already the limit of what they could do. However, Yun Jian was just like them. She was just a teenage girl. How could it be possible, that he was such a powerful existence? Everyone present, including Neil and the people who wanted to team up with Yun Jian to kill Shen Ji, were all stunned. Shen Ji sneered. After laughing, she turned to look at Hu Yiru and the others, who had been left hanging for a long time. As if she had heard the funniest joke in the world, she sneered. This is the first time I've heard someone say that 006 is an ordinary girl. How interesting. If 006 is ordinary, are there any extraordinary people in this world? Chapter 1746. Looking at Xiang Jiai and Hu Yiru who had mocked Yun Jian over and over again, Shen Ji almost burst out laughing. This was the funniest joke she had heard this year, bar none. Slaying God, the #1 secret agent on the International Secret Agent ranking, had been called an ordinary girl by a bunch of ignorant humans who were good at pretending? To be honest, Shen Ji's starting price for Yun Jian's missions was already considered very low. Take note, this was only the starting price. The starting price was the lowest price. Usually, the price after a deal was completed could double or triple the starting price. However, just hearing this starting price was enough to scare Xiang Jiai, Hu Yiru, and the others half to death. Shen Ji had never heard anyone say that Yun Jian was an ordinary person who was good at pretending. Although she had always been enemies with Yun Jian, she could not help but retaliate when she heard Hu Yiru belittle Yun Jian. When she finished speaking, Hu Yiru, Xiang Jiai, and the others' eyes widened even more. They were so shocked that their faces turned pale. However, Shen Ji had already turned her gaze back to Yun Jian. She could not help but speak again in front of everyone. Although I'm not convinced, I, Shen Ji, have always been upright and never talk nonsense. Right now, I can't compare to her. At this point, Shen Ji's confidence reignited. She looked at Yun Jian and pointed at Yun Jian confidently. She spoke to Yun Jian as if she was challenging her to a fight. But 006, just you wait. One day, I'll surpass you in all aspects. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She liked Shen Ji's unyielding personality. Shen Ji knew the gap between them and never denied the existence of the gap. However, Shen Ji had never admitted defeat. She had always maintained her desire to surpass her. Even if the gap between Shen Ji and Yun Jian's abilities was getting bigger and bigger. Yun Jian understood that the reason she could become stronger was because Shen Ji had been chasing after her. I'm looking forward to that day. Yun Jian smiled. Yun Jian had indeed come here to help Neil kill the leader of the Soul Devourer. But after seeing that the leader of the Soul Eater organization was Shen Ji, Yun Jian changed her mind. In the distance, even if Jinier was an idiot, he could tell the relationship between Yun Jian and Shen Ji. Hearing this, Jinier wasn't stupid. He naturally knew that it was impossible for him and Yun Jian to kill Shen Ji. Therefore, Neil turned around and tried to escape. Yun Jian immediately saw through Jinier's thoughts. Her eyes darkened, and her red lips curled into a smile as she spoke to Shen Ji. Your subordinate has just formed an alliance with me. He wants to join forces with me to kill you. He also promised to give me half of the Soul Devourer organization's forces. That's a very attractive offer. Yun Jian didn't say it out loud, but anyone who wasn't stupid could tell that Yun Jian was trying to warn Shen Ji that the subordinate who had tried to betray him was about to escape. Jinier. Die. When Shen Ji heard this, he was enraged. In a few short seconds, Shen Ji caught up to Jinier, who was trying to escape, and killed him in front of everyone. This method of killing was somewhat similar to Yun Jian's. Even so, Xiang Jiai, Hu Yiru, and the others were so scared that they didn't dare say another word. Xiang Jiai, Hu Yiru, and the others had probably spent their entire lives in fear and shock here. After Shen Ji finished off Jinier, Yun Jian turned her head and looked at Shen Ji. She asked him in French, "You said that someone was buying the puppets. Is the person buying the puppets a mysterious person wearing a black robe?" Yun Jian asked Shen Ji in French. Naturally, she didn't want Xiang Jiai, Hu Yiru, and the others to understand her question. As expected, when she said this, Xiang Jiai, who had just recovered from the shock of seeing Shen Ji kill Jinier, looked at Yun Jian and couldn't help but complain, "What kind of bird language is she blabbering on about? Judging from her accent, she seems to be speaking the most standard French." As soon as Xiang Jiai spoke, a boy who'd only heard French before widened his eyes in shock. She can speak French. It's not hard to learn a foreign language, but to speak it so fluently, you'd have to learn it from elementary school to adulthood. The boy added. Chapter 1747. Yun Jian did not find it strange that this group of people would make a fuss over something so trivial. At this moment, Shen Ji, who understood Yun Jian's words, replied to Yun Jian in perfect French. That's right. The person who bought the puppets was indeed a mysterious man in a black robe. Yun Jian's eyes lit up when Shen Ji finished speaking. It was the mysterious man. Any unusual organization had an inseparable relationship with the mysterious man. The Inferno Ring at the beginning, followed by the Blood Doll, and now the Soul Eater. Yun Jian realized that whether it was the Inferno Ring at the beginning, the Blood Doll, or the Soul Eater now, they all had one thing in common. The mysterious man was using others to do his dirty work. In other words, the mysterious man had never sent his subordinates to attack Yun Jian, the Kosha mercenaries, or the Inhun organization. He had been looking for forces on Earth to deal with Yun Jian and Ce. This was also the reason why Yun Jian and Ce could not find any trace of the mysterious man. Now that they knew that the mysterious man came from a mysterious continent outside of Yulong mainland, it was understandable why Yun Jian and Ce could not find any trace of the mysterious man. "Don't sell any more puppets to him in the future," Yun Jian said without saying anything else. Shen Ji's eyelids twitched when he heard Yun Jian's words, and he nodded. Sure. Of course, she had to do slaying God a favor. As for the other reasons, Shen Ji would not ask if Yun Jian did not mention them. The less she knew, the better. Shen Ji was a smart person, so of course, he would not say too much. Not selling any more puppets meant that the kidnapped Su Mei, Ma Yichen, Xiang Jiai, and Hu Yiru were useless. In the end, they were released. However, before releasing them, Yun Jian made everyone take amnesia liquid for 3 hours before sending them away. As a result, whether it was Su Mei, Ma Yichen, or the rest, their memories stopped at the time they were kidnapped in the truck. He couldn't remember anything that had happened in the last 3 hours, including everything that had happened since he got off the truck. Before Yun Jian left, Shen Ji asked for an address for Yun Jian. He said that he could challenge her at any time. In the end, Yun Jian and the others were sent back to Loberi's house by Shen Ji's helicopter. When they arrived at Loberi's house, Yun Jian said that she had been unconscious the whole way. When she woke up, she had fallen unconscious in Loberi's house with everyone else. Naturally, he would not pursue the matter any further. Yun Jian had returned to Longmen City with Luo Berry, Mo Sun, and Su Mei. As soon as they got home, Yun Jian brought Luo Berry to look for Qingyu, leaving Mo Sun at home. She had nothing to do at home, so she went out for a walk. Yun Jian had just brought Luo Mei to Qingyu's house when they saw Qingyu, Gu Nianji, and Leng Mei returning from their stroll. "I've decided to get a boyfriend. Let's start again." At this moment, Leng Mei's firm voice was heard. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and went forward with Luo Berry. After the introductions, Luo Berry got to know Qingyu, Gu Nianji, and Leng Mei quickly. Although Luo Berry was already 18, she looked like she was only 14 or 15. Leng Mei liked Luo Berry quite a lot. Now that they were more familiar with each other, she put an arm around Luo Berry's shoulders and walked out. Leng Mei was sure that her chief, Di Lin, had returned to Blood Doll. He probably gave up on her because he could not find her. Leng Mei had also sent a woman to Di Lin by mail. Yun Jian looked at Leng Mei, feeling like she was starting all over again. Yun Jian watched as Leng Mei put an arm around Luo Berry's shoulders and said boldly, "Let's go, little girl. Jiejie will take you to a handsome guy." Mo Sun was not around. Luo Berry blushed at Leng Mei's words. Before Leng Mei could finish, she saw Di Lin coming from behind Leng Mei. Yun Jian, who did not remind Leng Mei of Di Lin's arrival, narrowed her eyes as she watched the fuming Di Lin walk to Leng Mei from behind and grab her wrist, bellowing. Chapter 1748. Yun Jian, who was standing behind Leng Mei, saw Di Lin walking over from afar. She grabbed Leng Mei's hand and called out softly. Yun Jian smirked and gestured to Luo Mei, Qingyu, and Gu Nianji before turning to walk to Qingyu's suite. Qingyu and Gu Nianji exchanged a look when Yun Jian left. They walked over to drag Luo Mei away and gave Leng Mei a do as you see fit expression before following Yun Jian upstairs with a smirk. Lang Mei, who had been confident that her Lord Chief would never look for her again, turned her head and saw Di Lin. She was so shocked that she jumped back. F***ck, 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 Lord Chief, why are you here? Lang Mei's wrist was suddenly grabbed and she heard this familiar voice. She didn't react in time. She wanted to curse but she saw Di Lin's familiar face. Lang Mei stopped in her tracks and took a few steps back, almost tripping. Di Lin grabbed Lang Mei's hand with a dark expression. Who do you want to F***ck? Di Lin grabbed Lang Mei's hand and spoke with a face that looked like he was about to tear her apart. She just told another girl that she wanted to hit on a handsome guy. Hit on a handsome guy? Who did she want to hit on? Who else did she want to be with other than him? Lord Chief, that. I was just talking nonsense. That last time, I just wanted to come out and have some fun. I didn't mean to lie to you. Lang Mei dared not look into Di Lin's eyes. She was not short but her height was just above his ear. Because they were very close, Lang Mei could not see his expression clearly. However, just as Lang Mei lowered her head, her eyes darting around as she tried to come up with a series of lies. Di Lin suddenly put a hand on Lang Mei's waist and pulled her close to him. Lang Mei was stunned. In the next second, a handsome face enlarged in front of her eyes. It was Di Lin who bent over and kissed her on the lips. Lang Mei was dumbfounded. Her eyes suddenly widened. She was so shocked that she could not use words to describe it. This was the first time Di Lin took the initiative to kiss her. Lang Mei had always thought that she was just a mistress in Di Lin's heart, a dispensable tool for him to vent. In the past, it was always Lang Mei who took the initiative to kiss Di Lin. Di Lin would never avoid her, but there was no way he would kiss her or kiss her back. That was impossible. Even when they were doing that, she leaned over and kissed him. Ahem, he never responded to her kisses. This made Lang Mei thought that Di was only using her as a tool. Therefore, when Di Lin suddenly bent down and kissed her, Lang Mei was dumbfounded. She stared at Di Lin's handsome face in shock and didn't come back to her senses for a long time. Di Lin kissed Lang Mei for a long time but didn't get a response. He was a little angry and reached out his right hand to the back of Lang Mei's head, deepening the kiss. Lang Mei took a few deep breaths. Finally, in broad daylight, just as Lang Mei was about to suffocate from Di Lin's kiss, Di Lin let her go. Lang Mei took a few deep breaths. She looked up and met Di Lin's eyes, planning to tell him her decision. Leader, I'll be frank. I've been with you for so many years. I've always been willing. But after so many years, I'm tired. Aren't you tired? Let's end this relationship. I don't want to be your mistress anymore. Just as Lang Mei was about to say everything she wanted to say, Di Lin's face darkened. He interrupted her and said something that made her dumbfounded. Chapter 1749. I love you, that's why I forced you to be my woman. Di Lin's first sentence almost gave Lang Mei a heart attack. What did he say? He said, he loved her. He did force her to be Di Lin's woman back then. Lang Mei knew that Di Lin did not like dirty women, so he found someone he was familiar with, someone who was pure. When Di Lin asked Lang Mei if she was willing to be his woman, Lang Mei nodded right away. Firstly, it was because Di Lin's father had saved her and she wanted to repay him. Secondly, Lang Mei liked Di Lin. However, Lang Mei knew that Di Lin did not like her when she first started following him. She never thought that he would like her one day. It had been so many years. Sometimes, Lang Mei wanted a home of her own. She did not want to be a tool for others to vent their frustrations. Lang Mei was sure that Di Lin did not love her, so she mustered up the courage to say what she said. She thought that Di Lin would let her go if she said what she said. However, Leng Mei never thought that Di Lin would say that he loved her. What surprised Leng Mei even more was, he said that he loved her, that's why he forced her to be his woman back then. Did this mean that he loved her from the beginning? There was too much information in these words, causing Leng Mei to be completely stunned. Leng Mei dared not dream of being loved by the great chief. Looking at Leng Mei's adorable dumbfounded expression, Di Lin smirked. He grabbed Leng Mei and dragged her away. She dared to hide from him these days. Good. Very good. This trip back would take 10 days and 10 nights, not a day less. In Qing Yu's house, on the sofa in the living room. Yun Jian rested her hands lazily on the sofa, blinking. Even Luo Mei, who was also a woman, could not help but take a few more glances at her beautiful and delicate face. Let's go, let's go. He. This is too exciting. The two of them kissed just like that at the entrance of the busy neighborhood. I told you guys to come out and take a look, but you guys didn't. You missed a good show. Hey! Gu Nianji, who had been peeping at Di Lin and Leng Mei from the corridor, ran in excitedly when she saw Di Lin leaving with Leng Mei. Where is he? Yun Jian curled her lips. She pursed her lips and asked indifferently. Gone, already gone, ha ha ha. Gu Nianji walked up to Yun Jian and sat down on the sofa beside her. She was secretly happy that Leng Mei had been taken away by Di Lin. After Gu Nianji sat down, Qing Yu poured a few glasses of orange juice from the kitchen and placed them in front of everyone. Drink, drink, drink. Luo Berry, don't be shy. Just treat this place as your own home. Qing Yu said with a cup of wine in her hand. Luo Berry thanked them and her good impression of Qing Yu and Gu Nianji improved. Taking 2 sips of the orange juice, Yun Jian pressed her lips together and turned to look at Qing Yu, remembering that Adam and Lan Su had returned to Earth from Yulong mainland, so she asked, "What's the matter? Lan Su didn't come back?" Hearing Yun Jian mention Lan Su, Qing Yu, who felt like she had forgotten something, snapped back to reality. She asked Yun Jian in return, "She went to Min City to look for you. Didn't you guys meet?" Qing Yu did not know that Yun Jian had gone to Luo Berry's house. She thought that Yun Jian was still studying at Min City's military academy. "I haven't been to Min City's military academy recently," Yun Jian said with a press of her lips. Adam did not return to Longmen City. He went back to An Hun Group to report to CE that he had returned from Yulong mainland. Adam had gone to Luo Berry's house purely to look for Mo Sen because he had Mo Sen's phone GPS. Adam had gone to look for Mo Sen after sending Lan Su to Qing Yu's house, so he did not know that Lan Su would go to Min City to look for Yun Jian. "Oh God, I gave her your school's address not too long ago. She's probably at your school's entrance now." Qing Yu rubbed her forehead and said helplessly. This was simply a beautiful miss. Besides, she doesn't know how to use a phone, so she didn't buy one. "We can't contact her either," Qing Yu added helplessly. How could he miss out on such a magnificent opportunity? "I'll go to Min City to look for her." Yun Jian retracted her hand from the sofa and stood up to pass Luo Berry to Qing Yu before heading out. Yun Jian had taken leave recently because she was worried that Chen Sini's injury would worsen. Now that Chen Sini's critical period was over, Yun Jian did not have to stay in Longmen City all the time. Chapter 1750. Lan Su dawdled at the entrance of Min City's military academy for almost an hour. When the guard saw that she was really here to look for someone, he had Lan Su sign a name on the registration form for outsiders and let her in. This was because Lan Su was from the Yulong continent. People from the Yulong continent usually lived up to 1,000 years. Ordinary people could live up to 1,000 years. It was not unusual for people like Lan Su to live up to 10,000 years. Cultivators with powerful spiritual power could even achieve immortality. Of course, other than those freaks in the deity continent, cultivators who could achieve immortality were just legends in the Yulong continent. To Lan Su and the others, time was the least valuable thing. Therefore, when the guard did not let her into Min City's military academy to look for Yunjian, Lan Su had waited at the entrance for a whole hour. Lan Su was not flustered even after an hour of waiting. She had planned to wait for Yunjian to come to Min City's military academy after class. In the end, the guard could not stand it any longer and let her in. Min City's military academy paid special attention to outsiders because the students in the school were usually the future pillars of the country. Lan Su knew which class Yunjian was in. Qingyu had told her before, so Lan Su headed straight to Year 1, 2. Just as she reached Year 1, 2's classroom, Lan Su stood at the door and looked around. She frowned in suspicion when she did not see Yunjian. At this moment, a pretty girl walked past Lan Su. She saw that Lan Su had been waiting for quite a while, so she looked at Lan Su and asked, "Classmate, who are you looking for? Do you need me to call that person out for you?" "Year 1, 2's Yunjian," Lan Su answered the kind girl. "Yunjian, she's been." The girl was about to reply to Lan Su when she was pushed aside by a fierce figure. After the fierce figure pushed the girl away, she pushed her into the classroom and spoke to Lan Su first. "I know where Yunjian is now. I'm taking leave to go home now. I'll bring you to her. She's not in school." "Thank you," Lan Su thanked her politely. "Are you really Yunjian's friend?" Looking at Lan Su's innocent and naive demeanor, the owner of the ferocious figure who had bumped into the girl just now was Lin Shuya, who had always been at odds with Yunjian. Her eyes darted around as she asked Lan Su again in a reassuring tone. "Yes," Lan Su answered simply. Okay. Come with me. I've just taken leave to go home. I'll bring you to Yunjian now." Lin Shuya scoffed inwardly and led Lan Su out of the school gate. Since Yunjian was really not in school and Qingyu said that Yunjian was in Min City, Lan Su followed her without much thought. 15 minutes later, Lin Shuya brought Lan Su into a smoky bar. Lin Shuya found an excuse to take leave from school so that she could gather with some of the gangsters she knew at the bar. A large group of men and women sat together and chatted about some ambiguous topics. Who knew that she would bump into Yunjian's friend at the entrance of the class? She looked so innocent. It was really effortless to obtain it. She, Lin Shuya, wanted Yunjian to know the price of provoking her. Lan Su did not have a deep understanding of Earth, so she did not think too much about it. However, when Lin Shuya brought her into the smoky bar, Lan Su was slightly stunned. Yunjian was here? Chapter 1751. Lin Shuya couldn't wait to frame Lan Su, so she urged her. When Lan Su heard this, her eyes flashed slightly, but she listened to Lin Shuya's words and walked into the noisy smoky bar. Here. I'm in school. I'm good friends with Yunjian. She's amazing. Previously, she won first place in the wilderness survival event during military training. Today, we agreed to take leave together and come here to play. Lin Shuya was afraid that Lan Su wouldn't believe her, so she instilled in Lan Su that she knew Yunjian and was good friends with Yunjian. Lan Su was skeptical, but she didn't say anything. She followed Lin Shuya into the private room of the bar. The bar was very noisy, and the violent sound made people's hearts jump. There were also differences in bars. There was a kind of bar that was more romantic. Generally, there were bartenders in the bar, and the bar would also invite a special band to sing. Another kind of bar was a place for urban men and women to relieve pressure after a busy day of work. This kind of bar was generally a place where men and women got to know each other and talked. Moreover, the rock music was set to be particularly loud. When people stood in the bar, they could feel their hearts and bodies being shaken. Generally, the latter was a more chaotic place. It was also a place where one-night stands or things like being drugged often happened. Lin Shuya brought Lan Su to a more chaotic bar. As soon as he entered the bar, he could smell a strong scent of perfume, or perhaps it was some kind of smell that could make people excited. Lin Shuya brought Lan Su around the noisy bar and came to a private room. As soon as she entered the private room of the bar, the noisy and chaotic sound in the private room made Lan Su frown slightly. In the private room, there was a large group of men and women hugging each other. Some men even boldly placed their hands on the women's thighs and stroked them. Lan Su's appearance was outstanding, so as soon as she entered the private room, she immediately attracted the fiery gazes of the men in the private room. "Yo! Sister Shuya, this is..." Immediately, a few punks came over and looked at Lan Su with malicious eyes. "She's a friend of my friend Yunjian. Brother Jia, where did Yunjian go? Why don't I see her?" Lin Shuya saw that the man in front of her was sizing up Lan Su with his lecherous eyes for a few moments, so she winked at the man called Brother Jia a few times and said. Jia saw at a glance that Lin Shuya was lying to Lan Su. So Jia immediately, Lin Shuya's to continue to bluff Lan Su, "Sister Yun's sister just went out to buy some water, and will be back in a while. Don't worry, it's yours first time coming here, right? Sit on the sofas tts, sit." Lan Su didn't refuse. After a while, Jia walked to Lan Su with a glass of juice. He smiled at Lan Su, "Sister, I see that it's your first time coming to a bar. Don't drink with them. Drink a glass of juice to quench your thirst. Your friend will be back soon." At this time, Lin Shuya, who was sitting next to Lan Su, also said, Jia told you to drink 2 sips, so drink 2 sips. I'm going out to look for Yunjian. I don't know what she's doing, why hasn't she come back yet?" With that, Lin Shuya pretended to leave the hotel's private room. Lan Su put the juice halfway to her mouth and smelled the smell of the drug in the juice, but she didn't expose it and drank it in one gulp. Didn't anyone tell them that she was the same as her family's sorcerer god? They both had a physique that was immune to poison. However, Lan Su still fainted symbolically. Lin Shuya, who was standing outside the private room, saw that Lan Su had fainted so quickly. She quickly walked into the room from outside the private room and stopped pretending. She directly tore off her hypocritical mask, pointed at Lan Su, and said to the men in the room, "I'll give you a gift. Turn the sound in our private room to the maximum. You can do whatever you want with this woman. Just don't kill her. I'll guard outside for you. Hurry up." As soon as Lin Shuya finished speaking, a man immediately pulled off his belt with a cheer. The sound in the private room was very loud. It wasn't the first time this group of men had done something like letting a large group of men take turns with a young girl. Lin Shuya was even more confident that she could destroy Yunjian's friend, Lan Su. "This is beautiful. TSK, brothers, last time those women were all first. This time, I have to go first." As Brother Jia spoke, he took off his pants without any shame, leaving only a pair of pure black underwear. With a wretched smile on his face, he walked towards the unconscious Lan Su. The people around all cheered with an "oh," all of them treating it as if they were watching a show. However, just as Brother Jia was about to reach Lan Su and was 3 meters away from Lan Su, the door of the private room was suddenly kicked open. Lin Shuya, who hadn't walked out of the door yet, was so scared that she took 2 steps back. Outside the door, a petite but slender young girl stopped and entered. When they saw the young girl who suddenly entered, the eyes of the people around them lit up. This young girl was so beautiful. But before the people present could exclaim, they saw Yunjian, who had just entered the room, coldly looking at the scene. She saw Brother Jia walk towards the unconscious Lan Su and didn't even raise his eyes before a knife flew out. The knife followed the trajectory and accurately stabbed Brother Jia, who was only wearing a pair of underwear. The knife chopped off Brother Jia's manhood on the spot in front of everyone. Seeing this, the faces of the people who were still laughing just now were instantly frightened to the extreme. She actually, before they could think much, they heard a voice that was even more sinister and cold than the azure of hell. Chapter 1752. Yun Jian was furious. Lan Su was not only her protector in her previous life, but also her friend. In her previous life, as the witch god, Lan Su had accompanied her for thousands of years. This kind of feeling was indescribable. At this moment, the knife that she threw out directly chopped off Brother Jie's genitals, causing Brother Jie to roll on the ground in pain. She opened her 5 fingers, and 2 shiny butterfly knives were held between her hands. Yun Jian slowly walked into the private room. With every step she took, everyone present felt their cells tremble violently. She just threw out a flying knife, and that knife seemed to be held in the hands of the Grim Reaper. With a flying knife, it was so accurate that everyone present felt that it was inconceivable, and one knife crippled Brother Jie's genitals. This kind of terrifying skill should not appear on a teenage girl at all. But this girl who suddenly appeared at the door of the private room did it. Just when everyone was panicking about the background of this girl who suddenly appeared, Lin Shuya, who was not far from Yun Jian, pointed her finger slightly at Yun Jian. She was so scared that her face turned pale, and she screamed on the spot. Yun Jian. You. Why are you here? Lin Shuya had seen Yun Jian's methods. This time, she dared to do this because she was sure that Yun Jian was not in Min City. Lin Shuya had just said this, and before she could finish speaking, Yun Jian kicked Lin Shuya's abdomen in front of everyone in the private room, and immediately kicked Lin Shuya to the ground. Her figure followed closely, and the butterfly knife in her right hand swung left and right. She nimbly and accurately placed the blade of the knife on Lin Shuya's neck, who was kicked to the ground. This process was completed in 2 breaths, but it frightened the group of girls standing around, as well as the gangsters who were like Brother Jie in the society. These gangsters were usually very powerful, and they often liked to bring their girlfriends or female friends out to places like bars or nightclubs to play. Usually, when a large group of people played together, they always liked to brag about things that they thought were very proud and arrogant, and then get a large group of girls to worship them, in order to show their holiness. Usually, such hooligans would form gangs. However, no matter how arrogant and powerful they were, they had never seen a girl as powerful as Yun Jian. As a result, this large group of hooligans all opened their mouths wide and stood in place with an expression of disbelief. Looking at Yun Jian, they could no longer speak. After Yun Jian kicked Lin Shuya to the ground, she placed the butterfly knife on Lin Shuya's neck. The sneer on her face made everyone's hair stand on end. I'll send you to hell, okay? Yun Jian, we are classmates. Put the knife down. Let's talk nicely. Everything that happened just now was just a misunderstanding. Lin Shuya's eyes widened in fright as she tried to find an excuse. As soon as Lin Shuya said this, Yun Jian pushed the butterfly knife in her hand towards Lin Shuya's neck. That burning pain instantly spread throughout Lin Shuya's body. Lin Shuya screamed as blood flowed out. She didn't dare to move anymore. However, they heard Yun Jian's lazy voice again, but the words weren't directed at Lin Shuya. Why aren't you getting up? Yun Jian directly ignored Lin Shuya. Everyone was shocked. Why aren't you getting up? Just as they thought this, they saw Lan Su, who was pretending to be unconscious, turn over and get up from the sofa. When everyone saw this, they were dumbfounded. She. Wasn't she already unconscious? How did she wake up again? And more importantly, Yun Jian could actually see that Lan Su was pretending to be unconscious. Lan Su had just deceived everyone present. Everyone couldn't help but wonder who Yun Jian was that Lin Shuya provoked. This person was too scary. Lan Su rubbed her nose and parted her lips slightly before she walked to Yun Jian in front of everyone and nodded at her, saying, "Yunjian, you're the one who's going to make a mistake, you're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."